All right, we are live on Vivore and we have this space going. I have not been able to actually post it to my friends in the group chats because X has just done, I guess, some sort of chat update. And so sometimes people only get certain updates, I guess, if their desktops have been updated, but not their phones. So some of these posts aren't going through. But I figured we can go ahead and start now and just let people trickle in. And yeah, we'll just see what happens. How you doing tonight, Juan?
I'm well rested. Took a little nap before we got started here. Uh,
Very cool.
but yeah,
Me
feeling
too,
good. Feeling good
to say the least.
to say the least. I know you were on another spaces and explained things a little bit last Friday. I missed that one. I caught the tail end of it, but
Yeah, it's probably for the best.
yeah, for sure. It's
Yeah,
all in the past now, right? It's all in the past.
yeah, I hope so. I'm ready to move on. I'm sure a lot of other people are too. It's one of those things. I will say, one thing I'm really glad is that we had the best damage control you could ask for. Um, I mean, it's winded down so much that I'm actually just glad that things have just done a complete pivot, a complete 180. And in that sense, I'm really just grateful that a lot of people are ready to move on from this. So, yeah.
Yeah, it'll be forgotten. We talked. I was on the blockchain banter on Monday, and I gave my 2 cents. So as usual, I had your back and
Oh, yeah.
voiced my strong opinions. And yeah, I even mentioned it there. I said in 2 weeks nobody's gonna even give a shit or talk about this.
Yeah.
And even you know who BitCat is, right?
Maybe
Okay.
the name doesn't ring a bell, but
Yeah.
I don't want
Well,
them to feel that I don't know them. I don't actually know. I don't remember.
so he's out there in Europe. I met him at the Berlin event in September, but he brought up he's like, yeah, he's like, I can't believe that this is even a topic that people are talking about this, and this shit happens in Bitcoin all the time, and like we're worried about an X account. So
Right.
water under the rug. Yeah.
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 One thing that I am really grateful for is the tribes that emerged from all of this. It became very clear to me. So even when everything was on fire for a little bit, there were probably a good 50 people who really had my back without me even asking them to or me bringing stuff to their attention. None of that. They, on their own, just supported me and had my back. Even if we had differing opinions, they were respectful and defended my honor, defended my integrity, which is really difficult in a situation like that. Um, and that to me was the most beautiful thing. And if I can take anything from this whole situation, it's that I know who has my back, and I know who I can turn to, and I know who I'd go into battle with on the freedom battlefield. And there's some people who've gotten mad at me for even saying that. Apparently, people think it's a bad take, right? That that maybe because they had such strong vocal opinions against what I was doing, that I should still want to go to battle with them. But I don't think that for me that's true. I think what happened for me is I was able to spot those among me who were most on my frequency and have a lot of similarities to me. And that really brought me to a place of seeing my tribe. And that was so beautiful and priceless. And that was my favorite thing out of all of this.
Yeah, I love that. I love that for you. and getting to know you here the past 7 weeks, and now, I mean, I feel the growth within myself, and I think when you kind of put yourself out there and you're giving your voice, and we don't know everything, right? We're learning as we go, and I think that's what's playing out, right? Like Caspa is such a Caspa's still is still crawling. There's still so much. We all see the potential, but we're all individuals in this decentralized protocol, and I think that speaks to how there's just going to be so many different opinions, right? If this were a company, there'd be a different. I think some people still treat it like a company, and those are the people that we don't see them. They have faceless profiles. They give their opinions. They leave the comments. That's why I put up that post for you in terms of I put up a lion, and that's a saying that I go back. I mean, I battled in my career and during my making things happen days in the fiat world, we'll call it. I would always have enemies. I was in sales and business, and trust me, I had my fair share. I kept my enemies close. I knew who they were, and by enemies, I mean people that I competed with. But I meant what I put up. It's like a lion does not concern himself with or herself with the a lion doesn't concern himself with the opinions of sheep. And unfortunately, in anything that anybody is trying to accomplish, there's the herd mentality. And I think what Caspa represents is, we're a bunch of individuals that come together. We're going to have differing opinions, and that's one of the things that was brought up on the Monday blockchain banter, which I loved. BitCat is somebody who challenges the community quite a bit. Like he's on there going after hashtag. He's saying, hey, we shouldn't really be talking shit about Square payments, but then there's people that are going to go in there, and the Caspians, the Caspa maxis that are like, oh, but it's not Bitcoin, it's Lightning. There's a difference, and I think all of that's important. So from the extreme to I think everyone's important in the protocol, and understanding that all voices matter, right? And you don't have to agree. That's the beautiful thing about all this, as long as we're moving things forward. And it's kind of hard to see that right now because a lot of people see the market and the price. That's initially the first thing that they see. But if you dig deep, if you go beneath the surface, you see, okay, shit, they're talking about VPROGs. That's starting to make some sense to me. I don't know how it feels for you, Kara. VPROG starting to make a little bit of sense. Um,
Yeah, a
yeah,
little bit.
yeah,
I'm starting to get an idea of what it's going to entail, and I'm super stoked about it.
yeah, yeah. So there's so much to talk about, right? There's so much to learn, and I think when you're a pretty humble person, and you have your opinions and the way you look at things, and it's not gonna we're not you're not gonna be able to please everybody. It's impossible to do in anything that you do. So just got to truck it along, keep it moving. That's all we can do. So, Kara, outside of that, were there? I mentioned VProgs here. Michael gave a talk. Where was I think it was in Tel Aviv. I don't know if you had a chance. I haven't had a chance to listen to that, but I know that the community was pretty excited about that. And there's a handful of things that are happening on a daily basis. What were some of the things that outside of what we just talked about that got you excited about this past week?
Well, so okay, cryptography. I know this is a sort of a different direction, but I was reading an interesting book from 1922 called Cryptography. And part of the reason I started looking into this was because I wanted to sort of understand the minds of people when it came to crypto before there was cryptocurrency. I wanted to see what people were talking about in terms of cryptography back in the 1920s in London, and how they looked at deciphering code and passing messages and stuff like that. And I put a bunch of screenshots up. I saw that you had liked that post. Um, I found that really, really interesting and it got me excited. Even though we obviously our technology is far and beyond where that was, it just made me appreciate how all of this kind of got started, which is people wanted to send messages in a very secure manner. And even though it's kind of transformed over the years to be, oh, people want to send money in a secure manner, it's not so different than sending a message, right? Because remember, money is energy, so is sending a communication. So it's sending energy through encrypted processes or processes, right? And I found it interesting because people wanted to hide words or hide numbers or hide secure information, sometimes in the open. So you could have open information and it'd be hidden in plain sight. And I found it really interesting. And how it applies to today kind of has dog whistle to it. Have you ever read the news, for instance, and you can tell what is being said in public, but you know there's something being written for other parties that we can't see? All this underlying messaging. It kind of got me into that space. And that that had me just looking at everything that's going on in crypto and trying to understand what's really going on here with the market makers. What are the dog whistle questions? What are people really saying that they're not saying? And I'm seeing a lot of that stuff, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I like that message because I find it fascinating to go back and see where things originate, and then obviously just taking a look at the advances in technology. But I just I was like in a specific type of way, and like you said, it's pretty neat to figure to. I mean, I think we've always tried to communicate or have messages be in a sense encrypted, and probably since the beginning of time they've figured out systems, and that's essentially what crypto is, right? It's a form of relaying messages where that message is encrypted and it's between the two parties, right? Sending information like that. That's how I see it. um so yeah, I thought it was pretty cool, that post that you put up. um
Yeah, and if we look at Caspa, right, we have Cassia messaging, which is where we have taken that encrypted information so people can text message with the most encrypted technology without fear of being banned or fear of being suspended or anything like that. Once it's on the DAG, it's on the DAG. And now we have this new social network that's
mm.
coming out. Have you seen
Yeah,
that?
yeah, I actually just recently saw that Silver's been posting quite a bit about it. The K, is it on? I think it's on testnet, right? Is I believe it's just on testnet.
Yeah,
Yeah, but that's
yes, I
super,
believe
that's
so.
super super cool. Yeah, because again, it's what we're communicating on a centralized platform, and it just takes things to a whole nother level. Like you can't be silenced, muted, and told have your account shut down. You're allowed to communicate freely. Um, so yeah, it's awesome. It's awesome to see what's happening, what's developing for sure.
Yeah, it's it's really exciting, and I think it's very bullish for us. I'm looking through some messages right now. There was something that Onion said about this. Uh, he thinks it's incredibly bullish. Let's see here. If I'm not mistaken, wasn't there someone else who did this with a different network back in the day, and then it increased their market cap by over $1 billion or something like that?
No, I'm not familiar, but isn't it similar to the idea of what Bitcoin has something with not with what I believe it's called Noster. Are you familiar with Noster?
Sort of. So I'm familiar with it, but I've not used it. Can you tell me a little bit about
Yeah, I
that if
mean,
you
I,
know?
I from how I understand it, maybe there's somebody else in the crowd that could explain it better. I was on it for a little bit, but then I realized it was all just Bitcoin people, and 100%. And I was still trying to learn from everything. And I was obviously, I've held Bitcoin for quite some time, but it's essentially the same idea where it's not built on Bitcoin, but they use Lightning. They can do little zaps and send each other. They call them zaps, but they can send each other Lightning payments. And it's just an ecosystem for not just Bitcoiners, because we can sign up on there too, but it's essentially for the Bitcoin network. So that's how I understand it.
That's really awesome. And in addition to that, there's progress, I guess, being made on some sort of, I don't know if this is the right terminology, but it's some sort of cloud server or some sort of storage system for files for on built on Caspa. Have you heard any progress on this?
Which one is that? I don't think I'm familiar. The
It's some sort of cloud file service, but it's not on a cloud. It's not the right terminology. It's a file storage service on the Caspa network. There's one in the works right now. Now, I had a conversation with someone about this and talking about the feasibility of this, right? So apparently you can store messages and images, videos, whatever you want on the Caspa network. However, it's not exactly something where you could just go through your Google Photos and just back up everything because I guess there's a limit to how many. Oh God, I'm not into the technicals. I don't know. That's why I was wondering if you knew anything about this because I don't. I don't have enough information on this.
yeah,
But the
I'm not that
yeah.
familiar with that. I'm not familiar with that. I just let Buffalo up to the stage. I don't know if you've got any info on that, brother.
Do you know anything about this buffalo?
Hey guys.
What's up?
Sorry, repeat that. What were you asking?
Have you heard anything about some sort of file? How far along they've gotten on this progress?
I heard about it a while ago. I mean, at least like 6 months ago or something. It was quite a while ago. I don't know if it's going to take that much tech for them to do it. So, I mean, I'm sure they're fleshing it out, but I don't think it would take very long to set up a file storage service on the blockchain. I don't see why that would be that complicated.
So
But
it
I don't.
looks like it was launched October 6th.
Okay, because I heard them talking about it, but I'm not. Do you remember
Yes.
what it's called?
Let's see. I'm not sure if this is the same thing or different than the Caspa development developer platform. I think this might be different. It's a I'm seeing people retweet about it. It's at arkiv.fyi. So I guess it's called archive, just spelled a little different. So archive.fyi. And people can upload their files and download. I'm not sure if this is in testnet or the mainnet. I just don't have enough information on it. But it looks as if that is starting to emerge here. And if it goes all the way as people are hoping, this is also very bullish because there was another coin that did something similar and it boosted the market cap by billions.
Oh yeah, I remember Onion was talking about that. He was talking about the social media aspect, and that's kind of the whole thing it ran on. It was like a simple name, like a four-letter word or something. I can't remember, but that's all it was. It was just a coin to be used for this decentralized, you know, app for social media, and it did. It pumped up, and of course, it looks pretty dead now, but it definitely was bullish in 2021.
Yeah, the fact that we can even have something like that without VPROXX makes me very optimistic about what's going to happen when we do have VPROXX. Because when we have VPROXX, these sort of applications, when they start to go live, it's going to be a game changer for everybody, right? We're going to have a lot of that not only compatible with us, but we're going to have developers who all have their different preferences for how they want to build, and whatever they build should be something that Caspa can be compatible with. That's the whole point of vprogs, to basically have a foundation where developers with different, very different compatible things that are normally not compatible will be, which will appeal to different VMs. And for me, that's super, super exciting because I don't know of any other ecosystem that has this.
Yeah, yeah. It's pretty crazy. I mean, to have everything that is being built and the fact that it's decentralized and with vprogs, it's all going to be funneled through the L1. So all of that money through building all these programs, and it's not going to be fractured like it is with Ethereum or whatever. It's pretty nuts that we get to keep it as our own economy, and people don't get to just make up their own coins and use the network and not really pay too much fees, right? So like Ethereum, it's actually not helping the network because they're building their own coins and stuff. So having that all on the Caspa economy is extremely bullish. It's great for holders. It's great for using it as money, right? I mean, that's going to ensure that it continues to be used, and it's going to ensure that it will have growth.
Have you or used the new application that came out in September called Caspa Pulse? It's a desktop application that's able to interact with the Caspa Explorer, and it lets people keep track of specific addresses and download transaction reports of your addresses that contain all the details, including the fiat price during the transfer. Does anyone have any experience using that?
No, this is the first time I've heard. I've never used it.
We have all these new applications coming out, and every time I turn around, there's another one and
Right.
another one.
So much being developed. I thought I don't know if
Yes.
you saw it. Did you see there was I believe Seb shared it. That's where I saw it. But there was a developer that was developing for ICP, and he put up a really good YouTube video. I have it retweeted on my page, but he talked about how specifically with the vprogs, how it has a lot of these other chains just basically go obsolete. He was asked a question. I think he released the video today, but he was asked, is does v does essentially the rollout of vprogs, or the idea of vprogs, does it change the reason he held ICP, for example? And he's like, absolutely. It actually, not I'm not quoting him word for word, but he basically said, yeah, there's really, so now it looks like he's going to be developing for Caspa. But that's pretty cool. That's the at the foundation of what these developers and these geniuses are building for us. Again, I'm here for the sound money principles of this protocol, and it's just exciting to see everything that's being developed on here, because we could probably go on for days on all the things that are being rolled out. A lot of it, for me, is over my head, Kara. I don't know about how it is for you. So um
Well, I'm in it for the sound money, but I gotta admit, there's this other part of me that's in it for just doing shit that's
pretty cool.
behind the public eyes. Maybe
The
that's
sovereignty
the
aspect of it,
same.
right? Is that what you mean?
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's also the curiosity that got me reading that 1922 book about cryptography. This need to want to do something encrypted, even if it's something that's never been done. So even if it's not necessarily useful, just the innovation to do something different that's curious and hides information, make something more private or make something more useful in an encrypted way. That stuff really is interesting to me.
Yeah, yeah, because I mean, what I hear too when you say that is just again, for me, it goes back to the sovereignty, the sound money principles, you being able to store your energy in this beautiful protocol, and then on top of You know, so and everything's on the base layer, right? This vprogs changes things on the base layer. It makes it, you know, with the lightweight smart contracts and what people are going to be able to build, and how these apps are going to have their own sovereignty, right? So that's how I interpret it and how I see it. And it's just a beautiful thing, because it's you know, all this is being built outside of the current system. So that's what fascinates me too, right? I mean, for me, the deep dive has been over the past year with Caspa, and it's like I love learning about new technologies and all that. Um, is just being on a space like this. I'm sure there's people that can speak more to the techie stuff, so I'm careful with it. But yeah, it's just super cool. It's super cool, with what's being rolled out, and if anything, I feel the energy of it. I think it's just I feel like I'm in the right place at the right time, and we're super early to all of this.
Yeah. And if anybody is curious about the file storage service, you can check our chat that goes along with this X space. Coder of Stuff posted a link to username Chrono Walker, and it has some information about this. So please do check that out. My understanding is that people are still, I guess, I don't know if it's in beta mode or what, but just use a very small amount of Caspa to test it. Don't put tons of Caspa into a wallet and play around with this. Use a little bit, use some common sense, use just a little bit of Caspa to play with this, because this is a new thing, right? So check it out. And if anyone is familiar with this, I would love to hear. I have not looked into this. I've been reading and publishing my dad's books, and just getting caught up on many other things. And then the whole Caspa chain Unchained thing was a 3-day thing where it was the only thing I focused on. So um, I haven't looked through many of these new apps, but I'm super excited about them. I am so happy that people are playing around with building, which is so fun and innovative. And that stuff really gets me curious and excited. And I'd love to know more about these things. So if anyone has information, feel free to come up and speak and educate us, because I know for me, I love to learn and I love to ask questions, and I know when I don't know something. This is something that I would love more information about.
Buffalo, I saw you had your hand up.
Yeah, yeah. No, I was just going to speak to well, we're talking about all these programs that are coming to Caspa, which is really, really exciting. And the great thing about that is that these programs are going to have sovereignty, but also they're going to be able to communicate seamlessly with each other, which I think is really, really rad. So they can benefit and grow, um, and help each other grow as applications. And I think that's really, really cool. So it's not like a big barrier, um, to have these programs communicate with each other and still be sovereign, right? I think that's really, really rad. And I think it will continue to grow, um, especially as people are more and more aware of how much their governments really care about their personal life. So I think it's great. It's wonderful that we have this tech, especially right now. Um, just example, Cassia messaging, I think is really, really rad. I can't wait till it comes out for iOS for me. But yeah, I think having this decentralization and having sovereignty and having a space that everybody has that they view it as a value, and they value their sovereignty and their freedom of speech, and people are making programs on Caspa for us to actually enjoy that and to use it. And it's a really wonderful space. So not just the sound money, right? Like, because that's what got me here. But as I continue to hold and continue to learn, and continue to buy, it's really exciting to be part of the community.
Yeah, brother, I'm with you. I think it just everything's within the ethos of building the strongest base. That this is how I see Caspa. It's the strongest base layer out there, and that's what it feels like. And I've shared before. I just think for me, this has been. I'm someone who's open and seeking truth, and I think you've spoken those words too, Buffalo. I've heard you say that, and that's what really it's about. It's like again the tech stuff. I'm a sales marketing guy, business guy, um, and I just I want to share Caspa with everybody. I've put a lot of people on the wallet, and putting people on the wallet, right? I think speaks to how a lot of this has been clunky for such a long time, and I just feel that the developers need a shout out because they're building things, they're innovating, and just Caspa to me just it's doing things the right way on the base layer, and that's what it feels like, that's what it looks like, and yeah, that's why all this is so exciting. So keep it up. We love what we're seeing and what we're getting. We'll keep spreading this as much as we can.
And Anwan, there's an idea behind Caspa, which I'm really, really digging, is that people can be patient. They're not just putting out shit, right? Like they're building these programs or these wallets. They're putting a lot of time, a lot of effort, a lot of money into it. And they're not rushing it for it to fail because the respect that they have for the network, the respect that they have for Caspa and the developers, but as well as the community, they don't want to give a shit product. So I respect that. And I really, really appreciate that about this space.
I'm with you on that. I appreciate those that are innovating and doing something that's really high quality. But I also got to say, I also have a sweet spot for lowball projects too, because I think it gives people a foot in the door to see what they can start with so they can grow to create what they really want to create. Because a lot of us, a lot of us that are new, we don't just have it in us to just build something great on day one. Sometimes we have to go in with just enough curiosity and interest and motivation to just build something as small and senseless, just to say, hey, I finally built something. And then from there, building something better and building something better, which gives me a greater appreciation for people who have really created, as you say, really high quality products, because those projects have stories behind them and experience and trial and error, and not everyone gets it right on the first try. So I have a special place in my heart even for those that are creating projects that just say, what can I do here? What's possible? What can I complete?
Yeah, no, I agree with you. I mean, we all got to start somewhere. And I've never viewed myself as a, super techie person, even though I spend too much money or too much time with my computer. But when you deep dive, you're like, I'm really not that technical. But it's with the community and um, especially with AI, it's not as big of an entry, right? It's like, oh, I don't have to be a genius and know how to do this, which I think is really, really cool. But it's making me more um, technically savvy, which I think is important. We're educating people not just on Caspa. It goes into Caspa, and with Caspa we understand crypto better, and then with understanding Caspa, we also understand these apps and these programs. So it's just educating everybody, people who are interested in this. I mean, people who are all about decentralized money. I mean, you give some independent people the ability to write code. Holy shit! You see what's going to happen. So it's really cool. I'm really digging it. I like how everything is unfolding.
Do you have any ideas for something you'd like to build or play around with?
Um, I have a few ideas, but nothing concrete. I think when I find a need and it's not there, then I'd probably group up with some people that maybe know a little bit more than I do. But like you said, kind of just getting your foot in the door, maybe putting some code in and having AI write it for you, um, which would be, but not yet, not yet. But there's something that I really do appreciate. I've actually brought in, I think, 3 people so far on CastMap, small businesses that want to expand their business. And actually, a buddy of mine, he messaged me today, and he's like, "Hey, I got my first gold customer," and I was like, "Really?" So he put his name out online, and he's a massage therapist and health educator, and he got his first customer, and he paid him in gold today, which I thought was kind of cool. But he's like, "Yeah, like tell me about this cast map thing." So I kind of broke it down. He was digging the website, so I think he signed up on that yesterday. So I'm just glad to be bringing in business, because I think we need to have businesses that offer services. And the more businesses that we have that offer services that take CASPA, the less we have to rely on the dollar. And that's kind of like what I want to happen.
The dollar. That's Juan's favorite subject.
Yeah, yeah. I do like to look at the macro picture and then hear what people are saying and then get the bigger picture of it. So you are spot on with that, Kara. Because again, I mainly came over here because I made a shit ton of money and I'm like, all right, how do I think I made enough where I can like chill for a little bit. And then when you start studying this, you realize, okay, no, I didn't. Right. I'm gonna be debased. And then we got to go through. I mean, I'm kind of curious of your guys' feelings, right? Like taking a look at the sentiment in the market, right? We got to speak about the elephant in the room, right? The where things really are, right? That's what people on the surface look at, where we are price action wise, and it's been, people are talking about, is it a bear market? The price of Caspa. Those of us that see this beneath the surface see that this is a long term play. But what are your guys' feelings on that? Curious of your thoughts about the sentiment.
Um, I don't know. I mean, for me, this is not my first rodeo. Even when I didn't have crypto in my hand, I was reading the news and following along and really still just being in it as if I had it. And I've seen stuff like this happen before, multiple times, right? And for me, it's it's an ebb and flow. We go up, we go down, we go up, we go down. And people have that fear, I think, sometimes because it just isn't going up forever. And it has to come down sometimes. That's just part of it. At least that's what the pattern has been, is it goes up, it goes down. Goes up, it goes down. And yeah, things are down right now. And they'll go up. Now, the thing that I would like to hear is people's opinions on why it's down, how long we expect it to be down, and what's going to turn it around. Buffalo, I'd like to hear some of your thoughts on that.
Oh dear. You sure?
Bring it, bring. I
um,
want to hear it too. Let's bring it, Buffalo. Bring it.
so we look at we look at the dollar. We know it's been debased about 90% since what, 71. So it's going, you know, going down to the right for the last 50 years, 50 years plus. And so we know that this model doesn't work. So if it goes up and then it goes down, I'm okay with that. But as long as it continues to go up, then we have a store of value. Then we have money that won't be that isn't being debased, right? And when we have more of these apps, and we have stablecoin, and people are using it, it's it has no reason not to go up. So when it's going down and it's kind of down bad right now, like I'm happy about it because we know what we have, and I feel like I'm getting this shit for free right now, and I like that feeling. I don't know if anybody else gets that feeling, like they go in somewhere, and I mean that's kind of the whole psychology behind advertisements, right? It's like, oh, it's on sale. We always like getting a deal, but this is truly a deal, right? So many people don't know about it, and some people that do are retarded, and they think their coin's better or whatever without doing any research. They're just kind of operating off of emotion, which is fine. But that doesn't usually make you money, but that's fine. It doesn't usually store your energy, but that's fine. Um, I just see what's coming, and if we're down, like if we hit, let's say 4 cents, 3.5 cents, and it holds that way for the next 2 years, then I would be worried. But when we have VPROGs coming out, which is amazing, we have big institutions. Granted, I'm not all about the big institutions, obviously, but when the leader of BlackRock wants to tokenize the entire crypto or the entire stock market so it can be traded 24 hours a day, these are thoughts, right? These are things that we need to pay attention to. When we have the Genius Act coming and America's being like, okay, yeah, crypto, this seems good. When we have all these green indicators and the market's down, like this is we have so it's so bullish. It's so bullish. And then we have, wars and whatever else is going on, tariffs that scare people, which is hilarious, but the market is very emotional. Um, so we have all this positive stuff coming in a short period of time. I don't even think we know how short this is going to be. Our financial system is going to be completely different the next 4 years if they don't make the move over to crypto, which they already have started. Right, that's why we have crypto ETFs. If they decide to just like shut that down and not do it, which they won't because they like making money and they know this is an opportunity in new tech. This is same thing like the internet, same thing like AI. We see it coming because we're not idiots. We're in a space that we are constantly learning. I mean, we'd have to really fumble the bag to not make money here. And the next year or two, unless we get to like World War III, I don't see anything stopping it. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I think you hit on a lot of key points, right? And so here's how the feeling and what I see when the market is the way it is right now, right? The people that are in it and like us, the people that are here, retail's not anywhere near crypto right now. And going back to the fundamentals of what of how Kaspa was launched, and then given credit again to Bitcoin, it being a decentralized protocol that's secure and bounded by energy. So again, the foundational ethos. What these specifically Kaspa and Bitcoin, what they measure is the free market. So they're the complete opposite of what the debt-based system is pricing out, right? So to me, whenever I see the prices go down, right? Because I've seen this happen in Bitcoin, right? And Caspa just only pretty much happened over the past year. It just shows on a macro sense that the money's running out, that the debt's coming due, and they have to inject liquidity into the market. They have to, or else the system collapses. And
Absolutely.
then it goes back to a fundamental thing that I still think a lot of people don't get, because they throw up the charts and talk about all that, but it's one Caspa equals one Caspa. And the fact that we have these tools measuring the free market, and then the other part of it that really hits home is that they're a hard cap supply, right? Like these Caspas are being issued. There's what, 844,000 blocks per per day, right? 10 blocks, around 10 blocks a second. So there's only going to be 28.7 billion Caspa that ever exists. And same with Bitcoin, there's only going to be 21 million that ever exists. And I think the number, again, the number, and that's something that too, I'm curious to your thoughts on this, Buffalo, because I think that's something that some people get confused, where they think, oh, 20, you hear Bitcoiners talk about like, oh, 21 million is less. So I don't see how 28.7 billion, it has nothing to do with the number. It has to do with the fact that there's a set issuance, right? And we're actually trying to solve for, what does Caspa mean in Aramaic? It means silver, money. We want, Caspa needs to be used and spread around. That's what's going to have it be adopted. That's what's going to have people understand what this technology can do. and understanding again the foundational principles of how this protocol was launched, right? That was super important. Like I wouldn't be here if it wasn't launched that way. I would still be, I'd be wanting to learn about all the cryptos, but I would understand what most of them are. Most of them are crypto companies. Most of them are VC backed. It'd be no different than being in stocks and all that. That's what a lot of the crypto is out here. So yeah, I get excited when the prices are this low. I'm low on cash, or I would buy a crap ton more every single day. And I've mentioned before that I buy every single day just to feel the dollars turning into Kaspa. That's a great feeling on a daily basis. So I don't care if it's $10 or, if I buy a little bit more. So I still think that's pretty fresh to people, right? They don't really see it quite like that yet. People are still measuring in fiat, and that's where you can use Onion's phrases, diamond balls, or I don't know what he says. He says a lot of funny shit.
Ball
So
sack,
balls.
ball sack, ball sack, ball sack, ball sack, ball sack, ball sack.
I think
Exactly.
Cara nailed it.
There we
Yeah,
go. There we go.
yeah,
That's what it is. So
yeah.
yeah, it's really, this is a time for me, like being, I mean, I'm a nerd for sports, and I'm a nerd for sound money, man. So I have fun learning about this. It's I see Bishop down there. Had a great conversation going back and forth with Bishop today. I talk about this stuff all day, and try to get somebody to download a wallet every every single day. Not always successful, but that's what I'm here for, man. So this is an exciting time when the prices are down like this. You're right. It's just, it's, if you once you understand what this is doing and what it is measuring against, it's inevitable. Just as hard as it went down, it has to go up. It just has to. So
Oh
yeah,
yeah,
that's where I am with it. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. No, no. Well, absolutely. I mean, it for everything that's being built on it, and for all the changes in our society, at least in America, and it's going to be crazy. I think it's going to be so much bigger than we know it's going to be, unless they outlaw crypto in this country, which I don't see happening because we still have the Second Amendment. So I don't think that's going to happen. But something that you were talking about is how it's silver in Aramaic. So the interesting thing about this, and this is why I like that they put it at the market cap, or the cap that they did at 28, but what, 28 billion. So it's gonna have enough liquidity, but people are gonna want to use it, right? It's gonna have enough coins where people are gonna want to use it. But when people look at Bitcoin, their immediate thought is like, oh, I'm too late. And then why is like one coin $100,000? And you have to educate people, right? So that's when they started really pushing sats. Buy some sats, right? It's a fraction of a coin. And that's all fine and well, but for the average person, they want to be like, yeah, they want to be a whole coiner. They want to be able to buy this and feel like they have a store of value. And it's the same thing that happens in the stock market. You have Nvidia get like pushed up, right? It's like $1,400 a stock, but that's not very inviting. So what do? They split the stock. So now it's cheaper to get. Now it feels more inviting. So of course, Bitcoin can't do that. At least it won't happen. But it's the way it's been set up is to be used, and for it to be inviting. So I think that was a smart call. So you can buy, like, okay, a few years it'll be, $10, or a few more years it'll be 30 or 40 or 50. Like, even if it's like 20 years down the road and it's 100, like, okay, $100, like $100 for one Caspa. That's still a hell of a lot cheaper than 100,000, right? So it's just, I mean, it's just numbers, but it's more inviting for the people who don't understand. If that makes, I'm sure that makes sense. So I think the setup is great. I think that what's being built on it is great, and I think that we'll have nothing but. I don't think we know how much Caspa we're going to have and what it's going to be worth, and I think it's going to be. I think for a lot of people who are kind of going hard and they're just buying it, they're going to wake up one day and they're going to be very uncomfortable about how much money they have. And This is why it's good to have a community so we can speak to each other and be like, hey, bro, I understand that you have $3 million right now and you've never had that, but chill out. It's going to be okay. If you want to put it in different wallets or be careful or what, however you want to do that, um, fine. But I think it's going to be really crazy what's coming in the next 4 to 8 years. It's going to be nuts.
Yeah, I'm right with you, Buffalo. I can tell you what it feels like, and Kara too, because Kara's done pretty well for herself. But yeah, I don't think people understand. I think if you get some Caspa and you hold on to it for the next 4 to 5 years, 8 years, like you said, we're gonna be like those. They're gonna be talking about us like they do the early adopters to Bitcoin change when Bitcoin shift into that store of value. It's once the block size wars in 2017. So I think that gets solved at the Bitcoin base layer. We don't see Caspa. Caspa's not here. I really do. I truly believe that. And I mean, I've heard it out there. I haven't had any. I think Neo had said it that he's had Bitcoiners tell him like, oh, side by side, which one would you pick if they were launched at the same time? It's an
It's no
easy
question.
answer. It's an easy answer. So at the and this is one of the big problems that I had being because I became friends with a lot of Bitcoiners, traveled to a bunch of events, did some VIP dinners, met some of the big guys, and I would ask the same questions, and it was just like, okay, I started getting the answers when I started speaking to people within Caspa and started listening into these spaces. So yeah, man, we're super early to all this, right? And I just Caspa's innovating on a whole new level and for me, this has happened multiple times in my life where it's like I'm early to ship, other people don't see it, and yeah, we're all in this together. We'll be able to talk to each other, be like, uh, and work together, right? That we're building a little economy, not a little economy, a pretty large economy in terms of what we're going to be able to do with each other, right? So there's a lot of value that a lot of potential, obviously, but there's so much value that can be built within this, and there's things that we can't even probably conceive right now that are going to come of this.
Well, yeah, no, absolutely. So, I, not to go back to it, but they want to put the stock exchange on the blockchain, and I don't think anybody understands how ridiculously huge that is and how fucking insane it is. And if they want to do that, what network are they going to use? They're going to want to have some centralization, like no doubt, but with vprogs coming and how long it's taken Jonathan to do this, to build this, him and his team, it's taken years. It's taken over a decade since his ridiculous brain decided he's going to do this. So if we have 32 BP or 32 blocks per second, and people are talking about how fast XRP is, which can't scale like Caspa, and they want to eventually make this happen, wouldn't they use? I mean, I'm not saying that they're going to. They might come up with their own protocol that's going to be shitty, but here we have Solana as like the top of the top, right? And its outages are crazy. You can't put a stock exchange on it. I'm not saying that you can put a stock exchange on Caspa at 32 blocks per second, but it's safe and it's scalable. If they want to make that move, why wouldn't they? I mean, it doesn't make sense to me that they would use older technology rather than technology that's like they can test it themselves. They don't have to go ask, Daddy XRP if they can like run these tests or, what other particulars they need to know. They can just test it themselves and it's decentralized and they have that ability to. So it I mean, the amount of transactions that go through just one centralized exchange, I don't know what the number is, but I know it's insane. So if you have a technology that needs to be able to handle that throughput, I don't see anything else other than Caspa. I don't. So next, yeah, next 4 to 8 years, if it goes the way I think it's gonna go, it's gonna be crazy.
Yeah, so keep stacking, and but also get people to download a wallet and you know when you download a wallet and transact, that's a transaction on the base layer that helps the miners. It's about using this peer to peer as well, you know. So Cassia messaging, K, all of that. That's going to be super cool to see how all of this plays out, brother. Um, Super excited about where all this is going, no doubt.
Yeah, and I'm not saying like I want this to be like a big thing. Like I honestly I like this for the people. I really do. But I'm just being realistic as to what's coming. Um and I think there's going to be, I mean, we don't know who the number one wallet is, and they're just going to continue to stack because they know it's coming. And people will come to Caspa because everything else will be a waste. When you can nuke 90% of crypto, when you have a product, like this is what's crazy. When you have a product and it's so good that you can nuke 90% of your competition, like that's crazy. Amazon didn't have that good of a product at all. Amazon didn't. What they did is they got the backing to go in for like 4 or 5 years and actually lose money to kill all the competition, and then they started raising up their prices. I don't know if anybody remembers this, but that's how they did it. Their product wasn't good, they just used leverage. This product is that good, so we don't that doesn't even have to happen, right? But it's going to nuke 90% of everybody in the crypto space unless they want to come over and use Casper Rails. Like vprogs and dagnite is insane. Please study it. It will break your brain. Even if you just skim the surface, keep reading because it's wild what this is what it's able to do. So be thankful that everyone's here. Keep stacking. Enjoy life. Put it in the back of your mind. You don't have to be stressing about it or whatever. Put it in the back of your mind. Talk to people, of course, but stack your money and don't worry about the price because it will come. Like no doubt.
Thank you for that, Buffalo. Does anyone want to come and join us and be a speaker? If you would like to come and join us and share some of your experiences or perspectives or ask questions, feel free to do that. Juan, if someone does request to speak, you'll have to be the one to accept them because my phone has been bugging out. I can't even see who's in the chat room. And in every half second, I'm getting a pop up saying blockchain Banter accepted your co-host. So I can't even see who's in this room. So if anyone's even putting a thumbs up, I can't see it. So my phone's bugging out. So I'm just listening and just hearing, but I can't actually see as many of you as I used to on the previous episodes.
I got you. I got you. No worries. Yeah. So if anybody wants to come up and, like Kara said, share, ask questions, feel free to request. Give you guys a little bit.
One thing I was doing, I like to understand the past and the history to understand kind of where we are. Excuse me. This week, I have not really been focused on where we are. I've been focused on how we got here. And I've been watching YouTube videos that were from 4 years ago, right? Because Kaspa just had his 4-year birthday. And so I wanted to see what people were saying about crypto exactly 4 years ago and looking at what people said needed to be built and what was coming and what people could expect. And it's ironic to me because a lot of the things that people were talking about, good and bad, people wanted something that turned out to be what Caspa is today. They wanted a sovereign digital currency that could have instant payments. And that's what we have today. And when I say good and bad, I mean, there's some bad stuff that I don't even feel comfortable saying on the show because I'd be terrified for my life to even bring it up. But there's good and bad. And the good is that we have this. And here's the thing. Okay, I want to back up a little bit. Sometimes I can talk cryptically. Uh, I don't sometimes care what the big people are doing because I'm not a corporation. I'm not a government person or personality or whatever. I don't sometimes care what those big people are doing because I'm a cypherpunk and I know why I'm doing it. But there is something to be said for paying attention to the big players and what they're doing, why they want to be here, and what the long term vision is. And there's big players, some of the largest corporations on the earth, as well as nefarious groups on the earth that are all looking for the same thing, which ironically is exactly what Kaspa offers today that 4 years ago didn't exist. So just let that sink in a little bit.
Yeah, I love that, Kara. I love that because you think about, right, how long the research was done. You know, Jonathan being cited, doing an audit on a Bitcoin back in, I want to say, 2013, and just the time that it took to launch it, right, and everything that went into making this happen. And then even, even how, as Buffalo mentioned earlier, just one of the cool things about this community is it's like we're not in a rush. We want to get it, we want to make it great and get it right. So that speaks to, Caspa may have just turned 4 years old, but this is a protocol that's really answering for what the people need. And that's really how I see it, right? It's just, again, and not to bash the other protocols or Bitcoin or anything, but just the feeling and the sentiment that I would get over there was just people talking about making money, number go up, the price of things.
Number go up.
Yeah, and we have to remember, and Gonza was the one that wrote this, so I'll give him credit for it. But you have to remember that this industry was launched not to make money. Actually, this industry, crypto, Bitcoin came around, Cas was here to replace money. And that's the core basis of why all this is here. And then and then that leads to, like, what is money, right? What is money, and asking that question, and then getting deep with that, understanding what that is. I've shared before, it's just like I worked pretty hard my entire life to make it. I got pretty good at doing it, but then when I figured out, okay, but I'm in this system that completely extracts from me on a daily basis, and that gives you time. That's what it does. It gives you time. And that's why it's so easy for me to see people where they're at, and have compassion for where they're at. And that's, I have the saying that I say at the end: be patient, be kind. Because if there's anything that I feel the cypherpunks do that they need some coaching on, is the, oh, well, fuck everybody, who cares where you're at, like, we don't need you, like, all that stuff. It's like, no, 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 we actually do need people. We need to bring them along. And you're not going to force anybody into anything, right? You're not going to sell people hard on this shit. Like, this is, and most people are still asleep at the wheel. They're just, working their jobs, making money. And most people are saving in a currency that's debasing them on a daily. They don't understand the system. The system's pretty intricate and complicated to understand. So it's super cool, Kara, that what you brought up in terms of how it just feels so well thought out. And that's why I'm grateful for the team. And I think I've mentioned I'm gonna head over to London in a couple weeks. I'll be there for the Tokenize event. Be able to see Labendi, Chris, the blockchain Banter guys, and I believe Jonathan's going to speak there, and I think other developers. I don't know who else is going to be there, but there's going to be a little party.
I'm so excited
Yeah, there's going to be a
too.
little party at Wolfie's, and it'll be cool because I got to feel people and be in the same room, feel their energy. Right, it's a little bit different. Getting more
Yeah,
comfortable doing this on X, but I'm a face to face. Let me look you in the eye, and I don't need you to
yeah,
talk. Let me feel what you're about.
yeah.
And I do feel that, you know, you can get some of that seeing these guys being interviewed on YouTube, and you get the humbleness, and you know, like I love listening to Michael Sutton speak. You know, just very,
Oh yeah, he's
yeah,
such a
very
good
articulate.
person.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. And then, you know, I really enjoyed that 7.5 hour interview by Jonathan. You know, I like some of the guys that, you know, I like Shy, and um, you know, there's so many great high quality people in this protocol, and I'm just appreciative of them. So, and it's super cool to be this early to it, and just looking at how thoughtful um, a lot of these things, a lot of these protocols. I'm sorry, just a lot of how everything's being rolled out is just, it's just great. The foundation is strong. It's super strong.
I'm glad that you brought up the word compassion, Juan, because I feel that that's some thought, especially in this space, because it's often number go up and it's what's the newest thing and what's next and what is happening. And it's always about news, 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 progress, progress, progress. But there's something that isn't often talked about, and that is compassion. In this space, in not this specific recorded space, but in the ecosystem, in the communities, in the social media, in face-to-face interactions, in any space where people are discussing crypto, I think it's I think it's good to just bring a little bit of kindness into a conversation, because it's so easy to bite people's heads off when people get mad, or there's heated discussions or bags on the line, and people feel a sense of entitlement or a sense of expectation in one another, or in the market itself, or in a coin, or in a company, or in a group, or in a development team. There's all these expectations, and it can weigh a lot on people. People have real lives, real families. There's people going through stuff you have no idea, right? So for instance, this past weekend, sure, I made some ballsy moves, made some people upset. A lot of people feel I betrayed their trust because I couldn't say no to Satoshi. But what people don't know is that my dad fell, had to go to the hospital. You know, people have lives. Um, Compassion is beautiful, and I think it's good to have those face-to-face interactions where you get a sense of, hey, this person is more than just a digital username, right? And so, Juan, you're going to be seeing people in person, people, some that you've met before and some that you'll see again. And those interactions are priceless, because you get a sense of people's humanity. You see them as they are. These are people going through regular stuff, and yeah, sometimes people make mistakes or things don't turn out how people want. But I think most people want to put their best foot forward and just do the best they can. So I just wanted to throw that out there. You know, if anyone, I would suggest to people to at least say 3 nice things or kind things or authentically funny things to people every day, even if it's just a few times a day. It makes you feel good inside to just show some compassion, show some kindness, and be authentic about it. So if I were to send any message today, that would be what it is, because you don't know what people are going through. It's a lot. And with the prices down and the extreme fear being something that everyone can feel and see, a lot of people are on edge. And this is also the time when a lot of people do things that their families will end up feeling really bad about, right? There's when times get low like this, there's people that take extreme measures sometimes when they're not expecting the price to go back up, or if they're new to crypto and they don't know that this is just an ebb and flow, and yeah, we're down, but it's going to go back up. There's some people that are new and don't know that, or they put too much hopes and dreams into one coin that went down too much too quickly, and now they're on the verge of losing it all. And so there's people who are lashing out and don't know what's coming next. And I think it's good to just keep in mind that we're all human. Reach out to someone if you see someone who's, maybe they're really going through something. So just look out for one another. And yeah, I know that this event that's happening soon in London is coming up. I wish I could be there. That sounds like a really fun event. And I wish I could meet a lot of these people in person. I'm a little bit more private, so I'm not going to go, but I'm there in spirit. And I'm looking forward to seeing any videos or streaming or any pictures that come of it because it sounds really interesting. So yeah, I'm really excited for you, Juan, that you get to go to this.
Yeah, Juan, dude, I'm super stoked for you. Yeah, we're there for you. We're there with you in spirit. I think what you need to do is you need to get a picture of Cara and frame it and just carry it with you and just put it on the table when you guys are talking. Just make people really uncomfortable. I think it'd be hilarious.
I'm
I
gonna.
love
I
it.
was
I
thinking
love that.
I should get a shirt with all of your your Twitter profile pictures and bring it with.
Bro,
If you guys,
I love it.
if we can get that together, I'll bring it with me. I mean, we got like a week and a half, right? Yeah, we got. I leave on the 1st or the 30th, so I'm going there for 5 days. I'll be there for 5 days. But the
Bro,
event's the event's the 2nd and the 3rd. Yeah, you guys will definitely be with me in spirit. I'm gonna bring you with me. That's how I do things for sure. Yeah, Karen, I appreciate that, and you pointing out the compassionate part of it. That's really where I operate from. I've shared before. I didn't come from anything. I've shared my background from a very humble beginnings, and I know what it's like to struggle, and then eventually it's led me to Bitcoin first, and then here with you guys at Kaspa and what's having me speak because I've shared my story isn't. I said it on yesterday's show with Bishop, but my story isn't mine to keep to myself anymore. And I think, there's definitely things that can be improved within how all of this is communicated to people. And, as someone who's had some success with business and all that, I mean, I had a pretty successful sales career too. And I noticed the people that would burn out were the ones that tried to, that weren't authentic, the ones that needed to make the sale or tried to force their way in, and I see that with a lot of these these just the way people exist on the internet, or, the way people are on Twitter. So it's Kara, you did what you did there, and we laugh a lot offline. We're in a chat together. We talk to Onion, and uh, I said it on the show with Bishop, right? And I actually got this from Alan Watts, and I think I've shared it here, so I'll share it again. But I love this quote. What's the purpose? People, we look for purpose in life, or what's the meaning of life? Why are we here? And I really simplify that because I love what Alan Watts says, and he says, the meaning of life is to be alive, is to be alive, is to be right here and enjoy it, right? And enjoy it, enjoy each other. You think having this amount, and it's going to be, trust me, it's going to be exciting. If you've put some money into Caspa, you hold on to it for 3 or 4 years, you're gonna reap the rewards. It's going to be awesome to have that. But all money really does is amplify who you are. That's all it does. So if you're a shitty person, you're going to be shittier. If you're a good person, you'll have resources to be even a better person. So um that I know to the core of my being, and yeah, it's just cool. We got to be better with each other for sure. Go ahead, Buffalo.
Yeah, no, I agree 110. Kara, thank you for bringing that up. I know we all make jokes and try to have a good time, but yeah, no, we absolutely need to have compassion for each other, especially when we have our communities, right? We're all imperfect. We all make mistakes. We're all not the best on every day, but that doesn't lessen our value. And as human beings, we're very valuable. So I agree with you. We should be aware of that, probably more than we are, and have that compassion. So I appreciate you bringing that up. And Juan, I'm just gonna have to to um to thank you for just being a real dude I really love that about you, man. I mean, you and Kara both, you're just real people. So I like that. I appreciate that. And you guys don't hold back. You're not fake. You're not, you know, you're not wearing a mask. And we're just people. Doesn't matter how much money you have. Everybody's shit standing up, right? So I think that's how that saying goes. But I'm gonna have to send you a JPEG of I guess of my profile pic. Maybe we can make this shirt happen. I think that'd be hilarious. I think that'd be great.
Yeah, we got to get everybody on there. Everybody on there. That'd be
Yeah,
cool. That'd be super cool.
I'm for it. Well, we just got to get Onion nailed down so he stops changing his
I
profile
was
pic.
gonna say he's changed so many times. I mean, we can probably get him to send all the ones that he's put on there, and I'm cool with that.
Yeah, I'll have a whole row on your shirt or sweatshirt, man. Tell you what. But anyway, you guys, I got to leave early tonight, but I thank you. Thank you guys for having me here and let me speak. I really appreciate everybody, and I appreciate this space. And I'm glad Blockchain Banter's in here hanging out. So that's cool.
Thank you, Buffalo, and thank you for sharing your perspectives and insights, and for also relating to the compassion element, which to me is just really beautiful. So I really appreciate you. Thank you.
Well, thank you guys. Well, you guys have a wonderful night. Signing off. Cheers.
Everybody.
Cheers. So Juan, you sent me a video earlier this week about wealth that I'd like to talk about, if that's cool with you, because I really enjoyed it. And I think the people listening can get a lot from that. So earlier this week, Juan sent me a video where Alan Watts was talking about energy and wealth, and how a lot of us, or a lot of people, can say, I want money, but I need money. But there's a different way to look at it, which is to make space to welcome and honor wealth, because money itself comes and goes, just like waves of an ocean. But if you look at wealth itself as something that is already the space that you're connected in, that it's a space you live in, then you welcome money and you welcome that wealth that comes, and you have to make room for it. You have to make room for wealth. You have to make room in your mind for wealth to feel invited, so that that money that people seek comes. And I really liked the way that Alan Watts was describing how to do that. And for me, when I listened to it, I remember thinking, well, this is something I already do. I already make room for wealth. So what can I learn from this? And what I learned from it is the language itself of saying certain words, such as, today I invite wealth to surprise me. Today I honor my abundance and make room to be surprised by the universe. Things like that. So that I am actively putting the energy out into the world, that I am appreciative for the wealth I already have, that yes, I expect and welcome more of it. And I do it from a place of not neediness, not desperation, because that actually pushes it away, because that energy creates more of it. So you don't want to create desperation, like, oh, please give me more money, or I'm not going to be able to make my rent this month, because that just makes it worse. That doesn't invite the money. It pushes it away, because that fear gets multiplied. So it's this sense of waking up and going, I really appreciate everything I have today. I really appreciate the abundance that the universe has already given me, and I welcome more of it. I'm thankful that the price of Kaspa is stable. Yes, it's going down, but it's going to go back up. I appreciate the wealth. I appreciate the compassion. And by putting this energy out there, not only does it invite more wealth into our lives, but it really helps us feel at peace. And peace is priceless. It's that energy that keeps us grounded and feeling optimistic and positive.
I love that you brought that up, Kara. I love it. I send my people a lot of Alan Watts stuff. Bishop was in here. Oh, I see him now. I sent him some stuff too earlier this week. Um, yeah, and what triggered me to send that to you is exactly what you brought up in terms of the languaging, right? Because I use it as a reminder for myself, and it really hit me listening to that, and it had me think of you and just how we've interacted and how we've talked about this and shared our stories. And if there's one thing that I can attribute to what has made the biggest difference in my life to always attract abundance, it is the way that I speak to myself. And also the fact that I really don't even think that isn't the foundational layer of what I think about, right? I have friends that are, they want to make money and shit like that. And I don't even look down upon that. But I know that for me, I know a lot of men like look at me and think, it's been easy for you, or how do you make it happen? And when I look at moments in my life or periods of times in my life when it's come, it's because of the way that I speak to myself and how I don't push it away. I attract it. And that's really so the money conversation comes down to your relationship with it, with how you were raised, what you were if it was even talked about. In my culture, you don't talk about that. As a Hispanic male from Panama, like we weren't allowed to talk about that. And I was fortunate enough to live with a foster family in my late teens that just gave me a completely different perspective. They allowed me to speak and to think and to give my thoughts. And um that's where I learned that frame, understanding that it's an energy thing, right? It's an energy thing. And literally you can, like I'm sitting right now on the 36th floor in Miami, overseeing all of this. And it's a dream. But I thought that this is exactly where I was going to be. It's exactly where I pictured myself.
You
Um,
manifested it, and here you
Absolutely.
are living in it. Yeah.
Absolutely. And people don't realize that, what ends up happening when you're in that energy, right? Because a lot of people don't realize that when you start talking, even something as little, I think he talks about that in this video, even something as little as like paying a bill or paying somebody back or taking care of a debt, right? When you give that, let's say when you do that and you give it an energy of, oh shit, I gotta fucking do this, or damn it, I gotta pay the rent. When you're doing it that way, your nervous system is catching that you have a shitty relationship with giving and getting.
Yes.
When you do things and you do it with gratitude, knowing, hey, okay, let me do this because I know that money's going to show up. I shut my
Yeah.
business down two years ago. I haven't made that much money in the past 2 years. Very little this year in terms of generating money. But for me, it comes in chunks. That's just what it's been for 25 years. Right. And I'm not worried. I know that something's going to materialize, that things are going to happen. That's literally how I'm going to vibe, and it's going to happen. And I have a good amount of Caspa anyways. I'm like, I can wait a couple of years. So this is available I don't care where you are in your life. It's, or who's around you. It's literally a mindset. And yeah, I had to share that with you because it brought it home for me. And it touched on, a lot of the things that we talk about. I think I shared the same thing with Bishop down there too. I sent it to Bishop too.
Yeah, it takes a discipline to create a mindset that shows gratitude for paying rent. Today I get to pay rent. I'm so grateful that I live in a home. Today I get to pay my bills because I am so grateful for the abundance of electricity. Today I am so grateful that I have to pay this parking ticket because you catch my drift. It's finding a way to
Well, and
appreciate
that's
the abundance
yeah,
of even having a
that's
car.
gamifying life right there, Kara. It's like if you can have a sense of
Yeah,
humor, yeah, you got a speeding ticket. Hey, okay, cool. Let me do this. Now I gotta track some money, make some money in some way, shape, or form. But
it's
that's
a
I
discipline.
Bishop says, I know I brought him up a couple times. Like, Bishop, if you want to come up and talk, uh request on the mic. But that back to me is like you're like on a level 10, and I don't really think about it as me being on these levels, but it is. I do gamify life. I gamify life for sure, and I think it's super important because you have way more fun doing it this way. You have way more
Oh,
fun.
yeah.
You know, I see
And
Bishop.
it's a good way to sustain the soul and to nurture the mind and cultivate and manifest those goals and dreams. That's how it's done. You know, if you want to provide the kind of life for yourself that you dream, it's good to have to tend to your spirit and care for yourself and care for how you put the abundance out. It's a discipline. It's training the mind to welcome abundance, to less gratitude, but to live in it and feed the body with positive sustenance, mind food, right? And it grows on you, it becomes easier over time. And then after a while, you just live in it and don't even think about it.
Yeah, yeah, and then and here's one of the things too is I can tell you I've had large chunks of it, and right now, things are tight, right? The market's down. I had a lot of it in Caspa. We're talking a good amount down, but I am still the same person. If anything, I'm a better person than I was, just last year or the year before. It's like that's what I focus on. I focus on what's the energy that I'm going to bring every single day. I don't even ask these questions. They're just ingrained in me. I wake up, I have a little
Yeah.
practice that I do the way I meditate, and just the energy that I get in, I make sure that there's a specific type of frequency music in my house in the morning. And then it's like, I have my son here every other week, and like we have fun. We have fun with life, and it's just like everything's working out exactly the way it should all the time. So that's been an energy for myself and my family, and it's what I want to speak to, right? Because a lot of people think like, oh, I see Bishop is up here. We had our conversation yesterday talking sports and some Caspa. And I have so much fun talking to Bishop because it's like he shines that mirror back at me. Because it's like,
Love
like I said, he talks about I'm on a level 10, and he's been looking for work the past 6 months. But I'm like, oh, bro, we're in the same frequency though. The energy's right there. Like I
Oh,
can see it all. I can see it
yeah.
all working out for you exactly the way it's supposed to work out. And he's brought up, and I think it's beautiful. Maybe have him speak to it. But what he talks about with mental sovereignty, I've never heard anybody put it that way. And I really
Yeah.
appreciate that about Bishop bringing, because he speaks truth too. He's a truth seeker. Appreciate that big time about you.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Yeah.
Hopefully you guys can hear me good.
Yeah,
I'm
we
at
can
a
hear you.
little bit different spot. Okay.
Yeah, loud and
Yeah,
clear.
yeah. You can only say my name so many times before I request to speak. You kind of like goaded me into it. Um, no, I appreciate that, and yeah, I mean, like we've talked about on several spaces, and that little show that we're doing that live on the Casper Standard every Tuesday, 11:30. Um, we we do that. We start in truth. We speak in truth. And so, as much as you're a mirror, the words I say to you are that mirror back as well. We are just two mirrors looking at each other, and we have that infinity reflection because we enter our relationship specifically with no ego. And again, I put the words together, but it was you that showed me it, right? Like, because I believe Casper Silver was the first one that I heard talk about sovereignty, and I'm like, I mean, I've heard that in like learning about the creation of the nation, but what is sovereignty? And then, with where you're at, Juan, on your way of thinking, and it's not even thinking as you say it too, right? It's callings, and the way you're being pulled, you pull yourself away from the fiat system, and that's something that we talk about on the show and otherwise, where it's like, instead of begging to be a part of what already exists that we're trying to get away from, release yourself from those things. And as I started to do that, what I was feeling was this mental sovereignty. So when I do get a denial from a job, it's not like, woe is me, I didn't get the validation that I needed. It's like, no, that validation comes from within. And having that mental sovereignty to not put the value on that, the same way that you're talking about now, not putting the value on the income, because your lifestyle that you're living, you're more than willing to downgrade to maintain that mental sovereignty. And that's where I see the way I put it, this video game in aspiration. I even said it to you the other day. You might be on a level 10, but I don't know what the last level is. And the idea is that there is no last level. I just see something I can aspire to achieve. It's not that I want to be you, but I think you're in a space where I know I can achieve. And you told me today, and I appreciate that, sir, that I leveled up. So maybe I am at a level 3 right now. And as I'm progressing through it, I am feeling better. I'm not making any money. I'm having a, a full 6 month battle with the unemployment office to like actually get something. And I'm not even worried about it anymore. You know, I found the mental sovereignty, and I live life to where we're okay, but we're not destitute. We don't need government assistance. It's available for being unemployed. So I want it, but I don't put the actual value on it. I want it because I earned it. I paid into the system. I would like to get that back in a time of need. But once I get that, it's not going to be about, oh my God, I have this great thing. No, I have this ability to now take my next step. And that type of freeing up, I mean, again, it's that came through the Caspa community, because there is so much infighting and bullshit that goes back and forth, and everybody wants to pull each other down. But entering the Caspa community in truth, that was something I told Neo in his spaces as well. He was like so concerned when he first started about speaking and all this. I'm like, dude, you tell the truth every single time. And if it doesn't make sense to you, you admit it. Tell the truth, stay with the truth, and everything will pan out. And that's what I love about the Catholic community, period, is that it starts in truth. And I know I rambled a bit there, so I'll let you let you go a little bit, and then I'll be around to talk.
Appreciate you, brother. You know, and one of the things that that was super cool to see in you too is, you didn't mention it here, but you know, you do own some properties, and you mentioned how you started to look at that. You've owned them for quite some time, and you spoke about it in other spaces, but where you started to look at that as a potential business, bit more revenue
Yeah,
and whatnot. So, you know, I think that comes with approaching this and having that mental sovereignty, where you're going to start, you know, that speaks to exactly the money conversation, right? If the energy behind money is, oh, I gotta get a job and I gotta trade my time, and you give that energy, then that's all that's really going to show up. That's all your energy is really going to attract. But when you start coming at it, you know, and taking a look at the way you're doing it, you know, then you start hearing then things things flow to you completely differently, you know, and you start to see things in a different light. um and you know, I think that led to us, you know, we're both sports guys, and you have the wrestling thing, and I'm like, I fucking I loved wrestling when I was younger, and that's why we vibe. So yeah, man,
sure.
it's been cool. It's been cool to see all that in you for sure.
Oh, well, no, and absolutely, I appreciate that too. Yeah, a couple things there. Something Steve Bartlett said. He hosts the Diary of the CEO podcast. And I went to the very beginning episode, and I've been listening to the whole 8 year catalog. I'm at about year 2. But he said one thing he said was live life at the finish line. So where it is about the journey, not the destination, you can prepare yourself to be at the destination. And so that's where I started the transition into the properties. We had rental properties as a side hustle. We bought a house. Um, we were fortunate enough to get in a good spot where we can buy the next house, rent out the first one. Then we bought the third house, rent out the first one. Now this is all leverage and mortgage, like I said last week on this channel. So it's not like we're swimming in assets. No, we're dead out the ass too. But the rental properties, they always made us above mortgage. So we're like, cool, we're making a profit. And we treated it like a side hustle. But the goal was always to have our money work for ourselves and have the properties take care of all of our bills. But we never took the time to maximize that. So where the live life at the finish line came from in this aspect was like, well, if the plan is to do that eventually, then let's do that now. So we took a deeper dive and we did some analytics on how do we improve this to make this a business and not a side hustle. And then once I did that, of course, perspective changed, but it was a massive leap to take. And then it was reinforced with the conversations that we've been having on being a little bit more sovereign, and that's where it kind of turned around for me for sure.
I love that, Bishop. I really like that you're living life at the finish line and picturing your destination, planting yourself there, but still having the flexibility to go where you feel your energy belongs. And I think that's the thing, right? If we can't visualize where we want to be, I think it makes it a little more difficult for us to be there. Okay, so I'm going to get a little ethereal for a minute. Some people think time is linear, and some people don't. I don't believe it's linear, but I don't exactly have a shape for it in mind. I'm pretty open-minded to what it could be. If if the finish line in a linear format is forward, that means that we're behind it and we're not there. But in a non-linear format, if you picture yourself at your goal and you're already attracting that energy because you're in that mental space, you end up manifesting it because you are in the time that you are creating on your own timeline. Does that make sense?
Yeah,
That's
one
brilliant. It makes
thousand
brilliant
percent.
sense.
That makes sense. Yeah, 100%. That describes for me exactly how I've been. So when things are aligned, I welcome I welcome opportunities at any point in time. So I think I've mentioned it with you, Bishop, right? It's like we think we got to take this step and the next step to get to over there. But sometimes you just got to be not sometimes that I think that's what you said with act like you're at the finish line. And what I hear when that's said is you're right here right now. Okay, and then what does that call you to do next? A lot of times people build these plans and say and think you have to have this, 20-point step to attract what it is that you want in your life. And I mean, you can do all that, but if you're open to it just showing itself to you, then it's literally what's the next step? What's the next step? And being really present to where you are right now. And I can give you so many examples of how that's happened in my life. And I'm sure you guys can too. So yeah, I'm with you, Kara. Time's an illusion. I thankfully don't wake up. I've been fortunate not to have to wake up to an alarm clock for years. And it's like I literally manifest each day. And I have a couple things like we have the show at a certain time. I have to pick up my son from school at certain times, but for the most part, it's like I'm in creation mode most of the time.
Yeah, I think looking at it as non-linear, because you're right. When I wasn't living at the finish line, it was how long is it going to take to get there, and
Mm.
as long as you're chasing it, you're always going to be behind it. And so finding that way to be present and put your present to the finish line, aka the future, then truly, what is time? And I think that was a brilliant point. So I hope I fully understood what you were saying. And I think I did.
Yeah, time is interesting. I've actually done, um, I don't even know how to describe it. I used to work with scientists who studied how people thought about things, and I worked in different databases, and one of the studies I did was on how the public looks at time. And one thing I learned from that whole experiment was people look at time as personally as they do God. Everyone has their own definition of it. Just about every single person has a viewpoint of time that's as unique as a fingerprint. And if you look at it that way, that kind of puts into perspective how every single person, if everyone looks at time differently and they look at their spiritual understanding or lack of spiritual understanding differently, that plays also into relativity and the perspectives that people bring. Everyone's going to be looking at time differently, which means that people are going to have different timelines entirely that even behave differently than ours. And so, even lining up with someone's frequency can have such a dynamic shift because you might be on a frequency with someone right now that completely meshes up, but because their view of time is so different, you might find that they jump frequency very quickly and you might go, whoa, what happened? Me and this person were on the same frequency. Well, it may be that they're also just on a completely different time. I know I kind of jumped there, but that's also something that plays into how people build relationships, is how they have their own understanding of time.
Interesante.
This stuff is
Time
really
is definitely not
interesting.
linear. Time, you know, it's yeah, I just see it as an illusion. Like I don't. It goes away when you're in the present and just you're living. Like I can't. I worked, for example, like I worked a couple jobs where I remember people couldn't wait till it was. Well, I think that this is a great example, like where people think, oh, they can't wait to go home by 5 o'clock, and I just never functioned in that type of environment. I was I was in sales or business, and it was like I had to create and make things essentially happen. So yeah, that makes sense. It also speaks to my spiritual journey in plant medicine. It's like I've been in different dimensions, and that's a whole nother topic. But
Yeah, that's the thing too, right? Those of us that have had
oh
plant
yeah,
medicine
yeah,
or
I know.
played with them,
Yeah,
we
I
have
know
a
for
very
sure we're
different
not
view.
from here. Like I've shared it before. I don't know if I've shared it on blockchain banter, but because we did a couple spaces beforehand, I think when we talked about that. But my plant medicine journey confirmed a lot for me. Um, where time is definitely an illusion. So yeah.
I heard one person use the analogy that time was God. With Cara saying that there's as many perspectives on time as there's religion, but time itself is omnipotent. It's omnipresent. It's ever existing before and after. And that like little perspective was for me because I'm not a religious person, but I understand connection and spirituality. And when you look at something that is non-tangible but ever present, um, it hit to me. I was like, wait a second. And to Juan's point, people worship it as well, right? It's 5 o'clock, I gotta go. It's 6 o'clock, I gotta wake up. And to have yourself tied to it all day long, like there's a deifying that happens of time as well. And I think it's, again, without getting too into it, I do think it is a way to keep control of the rat race as well, with everything being locked in that way. And you can use it to your advantage, like making sure that you host a space at 10 o'clock every night or every Wednesday night, so you can gather within it. But yeah, when I heard that analogy that time was God, I was like, it kind of made me, crick my neck a little bit. Like, well, got a hell of a point. You can't touch it. It's ever present. It doesn't judge anyone. It reacts the same for everything. Um, it's not going to go away anytime soon. It was here before us. It'll be here after us. It was a very interesting take.
Thank you for that, Bishop. That's a very good point, especially people who see it as something you can deify because it's omnipotent, omnipresent, right? There's also the fact that as humans age, the perspective of time is also dynamic. So when you're a child, a week could be an eternity, but when you're 89, a week goes by as quickly as a minute. You just can't believe how much time just passed. So the shift in how we react to it is also different. And people in the financial sector, time is also one of those things where people look at Monday at 8 o'clock or 9 o'clock, whenever the bell rings in New York at the stock exchange, right? That's going to be a time that's almost deified in some circles. Or waiting for a meeting from Jerome Powell. What's he going to say about the percentage points, right? People put so much emphasis on the time in which it's going to be delivered and how that's going to affect how they make decisions with tokens or crypto or assets or their stocks or whatever people are involved in. And time plays a big role in this as well. It's not just news, but the time in which the news happened. It plays a big role. And this is also why a lot of people are big into numbers, the dates in which things happen, the times in which things happen. I'm a big numbers person. I know some people think it's a little cuckoo, but I think there's something to it. I think it's very powerful. And numbers, we can say, are also an illusion. And there's disagreement on numbers themselves, and there's a lot that can be said about that. But I tend to believe that even numbers play a big role in time. So, for instance, if you see a number 11111, that could be a sign for something that 88888 has a
One one
different
one
sign
one.
from,
Did you say one
right?
one one? What did you say? One one.
Lots of wands, lots of wands.
Yeah, yeah. It's funny that you bring up numbers like that because this is episode 8. You know, I am there. The reason I'm glitch in 888 that there's that there's a specific reason for that. 8 was my number, and you know what I think numbers do is that for me the way I view it is it gives me signs of me being in alignment. So 8 was the number that I wore playing football as a quarterback. Was born in the 8th month. And when you just brought up numbers and it's 888. So yeah, I'm with you there. I'm one of those weirdos too, if you want to call us that.
You know, 8 has the meaning or interpretation of wealth. So just
Okay.
seeing that
Yeah, that
number
makes
8 is
sense.
wealth and abundance because
That makes
it's
sense.
right infinity symbol is supposed to bring that wealth, and the fact that 8 is so prominent in your life, Juan, wealth has come to you very quickly and easily. Whereas for me, my number has mostly been 5, which is a number of busyness, and my whole life has been busy, 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 productive,
You
productive,
are
productive, go, go,
busy
go, go,
all the
go.
time. Yeah.
Yeah, and so that 5 energy is that busy energy, and I've just had that my whole life, and it's what I attract, it's what I create, it's what I do. I'm always doing something, if not many things at once, and that's just how I've been. It hasn't been so much wealth, although I've had moments of lots of wealth. Busyness has always been the underlying current for me.
That's interesting. You know, okay, so I'll share this. So the 888, and so I'm glitch in 888. I specifically chose that as my handle because I feel that the building that I live in, it's the building number is 888. So that's what it is. And I live on the 36th floor overseeing all of Miami. I can see Miami from North Miami Beach. It's just I moved in here for the view, right? And I named this apartment abundance, acceptance, and alignment. So here,
A.
yeah, and then here's where I've made the most money in my life and probably worked the least in my life. So I created systems and I built some beautiful things over the past 3.5 years. Um, Mostly the first year and a half. But yeah, yeah. So like the numbers thing speaks to me when you speak on that for sure.
Yeah.
It's pretty cool.
Bishop, do you know what your number is?
I didn't go through my numerology, but as much as I have seen it as woo woo, I think one thing for me over the last couple of years is that we have to explore the unknown. And if it's out there to make sense, then numerology to me, I've listened to some numerologists and they go crazy with it, right? They manipulate everything they can find to create the number to go in there, but they believe so passionately in it, and it guides them to the right place. But my birthday is January 11th, so I've been 111 my entire life, and in sports, 4 has always gravitated to me. So I've never, those are the only 2 present numbers that have always been around me. Were 111 and
Can I ask you? Can I ask you, Bishop? So the number 1 tends to deal with new beginnings, and it has to do with uh, creating, starting, and thinking about new ideas, and having lots of angel presence. Have you noticed that in your life? I'm just curious.
um. Well, yeah. So when I was a kid, I moved around a ton, always having to start over. Um, Before I had one job longer than 4 years, and it was 7 years, and that shut down on its own. So I was always starting over at new jobs. So I've always had these fresh starts. And ironically enough, every house that we bought, all three of them, there's been a presence there. And we I started. I was working at. I took over a Taco Bell in my town, and I was a general manager there. And the first day I was there, this guy who looked identical to my grandfather who had passed away 2 years, 3 years before that, came into the store with same his old Italian man, same white undershirt with the V-neck and a trucker hat that he can't put on quite right, and the same Coke bottle glasses with the tinted frames for indoor and outdoor. So I've definitely felt. I took a picture of the guy and I sent it to my dad, and he was like, "Holy shit, what's my dad doing there?" Because of course he had passed away. So it was definitely someone who I've never seen again, never saw since while I was working there. Of course, not there anymore. But yeah, so I've felt the presence, not of any angel guiding me. I've never felt that way, but I've always felt the presence of the past or no longer here in the present, but not necessarily in a good
That's so. I got goosebumps. I've got goosebumps. Wow. Yeah, you having January 11th, 111, that's very one centered. And the fact that you've had all these fresh starts and these powerful experiences happen to you on first days, that's very powerful. I would even suggest to you, if you're going to look at time from that perspective, to look forward to the first of every month as something that can actually be in your favor because it's aligned with you.
I'll gravitate to it more presently. Yeah, I appreciate that. I'll stay attuned to it for now. And it is funny because on the first day that we would enter these properties, there would either be a light flicker or a I don't want to say emotion, but like you can like not see a haze, but feel it. The feeling was there, and all we would do is kindly interact. Like, and we wait until the mail came, and if it seemed like an old man, one was Opal and one was Ermgard, and we would just talk to them like, hey, I just hope it's cool that with you that we're here because we paid for it and we're going to be here for a while. So we'll take care of it for you. You don't have to watch over it again. And without fail, the lights stop flickering. It's crazy.
Whoa.
And I truly don't
Yeah,
believe in
you're
that
in
stuff. I
tune.
really don't. I don't. I don't preach around about it. Nothing like that. I don't think. I don't think it's anything more than what you're willing to connect with, and that's why I think that these people who like we want to take care of these properties, so we felt the energy of those who wanted to take care of them too, and that's
Yeah.
what I feel that was. Yeah.
Oh, I love that. You're in tune to it. I love that.
Bishop,
I think it's unfortunate. Oh, can I just say one quick
go
thing?
ahead.
I think it's unfortunate that there's a negative connotation where people think it's woo-woo to think of numbers in this way, because I can tell you, based on all the philosophical research I've done in math for thousands of years, this was not woo-woo. This was something that people lived and died for, and they believed this wholeheartedly. And it was only recently that people started making it seem as if it was some new age concept. I don't believe it at all. I mean, I've I've looked at a lot of philosophical conversations from BC times before zero was even accepted, before infinity was accepted, before irrational numbers were accepted. People looked at numbers as sacred as religion itself. And today we don't have that same understanding. In our textbooks, we don't even talk about any of that. It's just looked at as a number, and there's nothing connected to it in the textbooks. But for thousands of years, that wasn't the case. So I just wanted to bring that up. Go ahead, Juan.
No, I mean you're speaking to exactly what I was going to share about that. Bishop's like, hey, I don't really. So for me, I shared obviously living in this building 888 and calling it acceptance, abundance, and alignment. When I moved in here, I was dating someone who would point out these numbers, and it was actually annoying. She would always be like, "Oh my God, look, 444, 222," and I was like, "What does that all that mean?" And essentially, along the lines of what you're speaking to, Kara, where this is something that, I just started to accept it, and now I really do see it as just something that is a signal that I'm in alignment. So to me, these numbers things, or signs that numbers are showing up like this, shows that I'm in my truth, that I'm following my path. That makes more sense to me than like looking at the clock and seeing, where I got to be or what I got to do. So yeah, and it's funny that you said you're 111. She said 111, just like Kara.
One, one, one.
111,
So
just like Kara.
I'm a Halloween baby, which is 1031. 1 plus 0 plus 3 plus 1 is a 5. And I've also lived in a lot of environments where my address added up to a 5. And that energy has been constant in my life. And for some people, they look at me and think, you are way too busy. There's no way I could ever. And for me, this is my natural state. And it's just who I am and what I do. And for some people, they look at me with their mouth will hit the floor when they see all that I'm actually doing in an everyday situation, which is also really ironic because I'm a big person and there's a lot of negative connotations on people who are large. There's this assumption that they're lazy or they overeat or whatever. And for me, that's just not the case. I just have lipedema, which causes me to be big because it affects with my hormones or whatever. So even if I don't eat, stress can make me gain weight. Uh, that combined with the fact that I'm always doing something, it's the opposite of lazy. So I think it's really important that people don't just judge one another based on how someone looks. You don't know how busy they might be, right? And we get that. But I just want to share that for people in the audience because I'm a perfect example of someone who's busy during just about every second of the day. And I'm learning how to rest more. But even in my resting state, I'm busy. I'm busy in my mind resting harder. I'm busy in my mind creating visualizations and revisiting different places in my head. Even that's a busy experience, which I love, right? Even sitting and being present in meditation and just listening is a busy process. Listening to the planes outside, listening to the air conditioners of other people's homes turning off or on, hearing the dogs in other neighborhoods, listening to every little sound. I mean, even that can be considered a busy process because there's so much all the time, and even being aware of it, it can be busy. Even if I'm doing nothing, it feels busy. So I just wanted to also share that, right? It's perspective.
Oh, for sure. And I stopped judging people on their looks and try to judge people on their joy. Um, People, we grow up in this vanity world, specifically as once puberty hits, right? It's all about general attraction, and then you get to a stage where maybe you're not doing so well, and maybe you um, are friend zoning, right? And you think that that friend feeling is supposed to turn into romance or what have you. And then, I don't know, I got into my 20s and was very confident with who I was. And I saw someone making fun of a heavier set couple, and they couldn't have been happier. So if I'm not attracted to them, that really doesn't matter. And it definitely doesn't matter to them because of how happy they are. So judging people on their appearance, it's too difficult. And sometimes it's out of their control anyway. So why care? Specifically if they don't. And if you're living in your own happiness, in your own joy, who am I to take that away from you? And that's just, a way for people to try to keep, others down just because they feel like shit inside, right? Hurt people hurt people. Um, I forgot the last thing you said too. I had something to add to that.
I appreciate that you said that. And you're right. Being able to accept people as they are, we don't know what they have control over. We don't know what cards they've been dealt. We don't know what their circumstances are, right? There's so many factors that go into play into how people survive and how they thrive. And most assumptions are wrong, and that's why it's so important to get to know people and have a genuine curiosity about one another to see how people became who they are and where they're at. I'm glad that you have that viewpoint. I think that's a very positive and optimistic way to live. And I think it also allows the people that meet you for the first time to feel accepted rather than feeling that critical judgment. And I think that's so beautiful and precious, and we need more of it. So I'm glad that you have that mentality and that mindset. It's a discipline. And it seems to me that you've really stepped into that discipline as just being an aspect of who you are. And I respect that about you.
Well, thank you so much. I have a broad voice and shoulders, so I tend to be intimidating. And I was actually late in high school. I was put in position to be I was class president, right? Like, so I had to be front facing a lot, but we also had several special needs kids in school, and as an 18-year-old, 17-year-old, I was super uncomfortable. I didn't know what to do or say because this was also in 2002, 2003, where all in the 90s, we said gay and retard all the time. And this was I felt like the shame of what I did. So, like, the insults of these people who are just human trying to succeed, like, that was like at the beginning of it. And they had to interact with me to get what they needed, whether it was prom tickets or whatever, right? And that's where I started. Like, it started to like unravel for me the judgment part of it, right? The haves and have-nots. And then it did take a while getting into professional and business life, because I am a sports guy as well. So, like, everything was nose to the grindstone, beat it up, get as far as you can, as hard as you can, work, grind, and no one matters. And then again, as you trip and fall on your face, and you have to open yourself and rely on people that you wouldn't necessarily associate with, you find that, like, people are people. And when you lead with empathy and compassion and not judgment, you actually take more steps forward, because every judgment you put on someone else is actually a wall you put up in front of yourself. And you now create an inability for you to succeed. So to judge others, I mean, I tend not to. I have difference of opinion, and I can go hard with difference of opinion, but it's usually like this for the sake of conversation. I will tell someone to go fuck themselves all day long, and it's usually with a smile on my face and a warm heart, because that was acceptance when we were growing up. Um, and it's usually because I disagree with you, and you're probably right. So, like, that's just where I come from. And if you can't take that, I'm also okay with you literally going to fuck yourself. Like, that's got nothing to do with me, because that's you choosing to judge me for that moment. So that's why, like, for instance, when everything went down with Kaspa and Jane, I was going to go vote for Onion in the Kaspa Discord, and then I saw what they were saying about you. Um, they put up a whole segment that says Cara, and then underneath it was all she, her. And I'm like, no, this is a person. Her name is Cara, and she's being held accountable for something that's not 100% her fault. So I felt the need to speak my truth in the situation. It's like, well, if you're going to talk shit on her, talk shit on the other side too. So I just felt the need to bring the presence of accountability, because they can tell you to go fuck yourself, as they should if that's their perspective. But they also need to tell those who ask you to do what you do to go fuck themselves too, and chalk it up as a bad experience. So,
I
like,
love you for saying that. That's so
yeah,
authentic. Love that.
it's the truth. Like, you
At
can't,
this
and
point,
you're not
I
gonna.
just want to address this for a second. This whole situation has been eye-opening for me. And a lot of people who are angry at me are angry not because of what I did, but because they trusted me to have my own sovereignty. They trusted me to behave in a certain manner that was predictable and something that they knew they could rely on with me. And I didn't give them that. And for that, I'm sorry if I let anybody down. I wish I could have gone into this with sovereignty, and I was foolish to think that I would have sovereignty. I thought genuinely going into this, I would be able to run it how I wanted. And I had so many ideas to have us going viral for things that we were proud of and things that that make us great. But I wasn't allowed that opportunity. And people who continue to still be mad at me say, well, you should have told Jonathan to fuck himself. Yeah, maybe. But I had a hard time saying no to Satoshi, okay? I had a hard time saying no to the fucking man. And looking back at it now, yeah, maybe I should have, but I wanted to do it his way because I figured, let's just see what the genius has in mind. Let me just try it out. And when I started doing it, at first I thought, oh well, this is an interesting way to be goofy, and we'll have the community saying ball sack. It'll be funny. But then people really didn't embrace that, not as a whole. And when I started to kind of get a sense of, well, Jonathan was right when he said that the community loves me, but they're not going to love what I do when I change it to do it his way. And he's right. And I had to live with that and sit with that and just watch people who used to support me start to dog on me and say the meanest things, to the point where I started to fear for my life and fear for my family. And I said, you know what? I'd rather, if people are going to crap on me, it needs to be because of my own decisions. And I just didn't feel comfortable. I remember waking up the day that I turned in the keys. I remember waking up and I sat with myself and just asked myself, how do I feel? How do I feel about this? What is in my body? What is my spirit telling me? And I remember feeling, you know what? I don't feel so good. I actually feel better without this. And so I said, oh, well, this is an easy decision. I'll just, a 2-minute thought. I knew instantly what my body was telling me, and I listened to it and I followed it. So I literally only spent 2 minutes making the decision to turn in the keys because I trust my body and I know how to listen to it. And I knew something in me was just telling me, this doesn't feel good, and you can tell. And that was enough for me. And the hate is dying down, but I still continue to get a few comments here and there where people call me a prostitute or mean words that they say exclusively to women, which is really stupid because now they're insulting my intelligence. And it's almost ironic because I spent so many years proving that I have valuable content to bring to the world, not just on social media, but in life in general. I mean, I got a degree, 4.0 GPA, graduated with honors, won a scholarship this year, won one of the most prestigious awards among 400 students this year. And in those students, there were 55,000 students competing, and I won so there were 20 winners, right? And that was really powerful for me. So I've earned my respect. I've earned that. And now I have to live with the fact that there's people who think I'm retarded and think I'm an idiot because I agreed to do what Jonathan asked me to do. And I feel that that's unfortunate because I'm not a retard or an idiot, but I am perfectly fine making jokes that are lowball. I'm not some pretentious person who has a freaking sense of humor, and sometimes it's funny and stupid, and sometimes it's dumb as shit, and sometimes it's intelligent humor, and sometimes it's dark humor, and I don't fucking give a shit. And that's the thing too. There's that, and I'm sorry I let people down, but it was also something that was asked of me. I was asked to not make intelligence, to leave the news out of it and all of that, and just focus on nonsense that was crypto aware. And I did exactly what was asked of me. And it wasn't just me. This was the same thing asked of Christian. I just delivered it a little differently. And people can say what they want, but we did get it trending. Within 24 hours of us doing that, it was trending. We got over 300,000 views. And it might not have been the most positive trending experience. It did get people talking. Imagine what I could have done if I had sovereignty and could have turned this into a positive experience. Imagine how much this could have trended if I was allowed to have a voice. And I just also want to add that for the last 4.5 years since leaving my ex-husband, I've had no one silencing me or censoring me until Kaspa Unchained. Before Kaspa Unchained, I hadn't been censored in 4.5 years. And when you see someone censoring you and you're told you can't talk the way that you want to talk, and you can't say what you want to say, even though you were voted to say what you want to say, it made me feel that my ideas weren't important. And that bothered me. And it also made me feel that our community is not in alignment with what the devs want. And it's an irreconcilable difference. And that bothers me too. And I wish it wasn't that way. But all I can do is just step away and say, here's the keys, good luck. Right? It's just not for me. And hopefully the hate will die down. I am proud of the whole community and me and my friends and the devs, everybody, for damage control. We went from having a blazing fire to a simmer that's almost completely put out almost as quickly as it started. So it's not something that we have to keep putting water on. The fire's already out. So the damage control was spot on. And that's really cool. And that's something that makes me feel really hopeful in the community, because everyone kind of wants the same thing here. We want people to adopt Kaspa. We want people to see Kaspa for what it's worth and what it offers. And sure, making a diarrhea joke about the sewer of crypto is kind of retarded and stupid, and oh my gosh, it's poor taste. But it also got us trending. It got us on the news. It got us not only talked about all over X, we were talked about all over YouTube. We were getting that message out. We had Bitcoiners that don't even talk about Kaspa saying the word ballsack. Dude, we had people talking about us freaking everywhere. And I think it's great to go down in history knowing that we made a little difference when it comes to freedom. Rifled freedom. There was a framework that I felt I was in a cage, although Jonathan called it a VM, right? When you have those kind of boundaries, you're trying to comply within the walls of what's been built around you. But I didn't want to have walls around me, honestly. I wanted to have my voice and represent for the community the way they wanted to. And I'm really genuinely sorry I let people down. I wanted to go in there with my own voice, and I wasn't allowed that. And people can argue and say, yeah, you were allowed that. You just didn't tell him to go fuck himself. Yeah, well, sorry. Right? I wanted to make the creator of Kaspa happy. And maybe that was a mistake, but that's something that I chose. And I live with that. And that's okay with me. I made my decision. I did what I did, and it is what it is. And I want to thank everybody who recognizes that that was a role and it wasn't me. And my friends are intelligent people and they can play retarded, but they're not retarded. They're human beings. They're people who have real lives, real challenges, and they're very intelligent. There were more people than just Onion and Warrior. These two are the ones everyone's been hating on. And I'm not going to name the names of everyone who is helping because there's been so much heat. I don't want heat to come on my friends. But they were there for me when I asked for help. We got this shit trending. They're fucking awesome. I'd go to battle with them any day. And they're all people who are pro freedom. And yeah, we said some crazy shit, but we also can look at the account and see that there are some differences. People should be a lot happier now. Damage control has been done. And I want to thank everyone that has defended my honor and my integrity because you know who I am. For the last couple years, you guys have seen my posts. You've heard my voice. You've heard our conversations. And you know the difference between my intentions and what's not my intentions. So thank you to everybody who has really stepped up to defend me because that's not something that comes easily to me because I tend to live in positivity and kindness and respect. And I am in a bubble. I've removed all toxicity from my life. And so when I'm on social media and there's toxicity, I immediately want to separate myself from it. And thank you for everybody who helped do that. So thank you very much.
Yeah, it was an easy thing for me to do, and I think everything you said is super important. Um, like I said, it was just I come on these spaces all the time. I learn so much from you, and I see your authenticity, and you actually laid it out kind of the day before what the game was gonna kind of be about. So I was excited to see what happened. Um, but again, you just operate that way. Um, and one of the things I pointed out was like, if it's not what you were looking for, then it was a failed experiment, right? But then you just explained how it was a positive experiment. But they were saying, oh, well, we lost 2,500 followers. Okay, then it was a failed experiment. But you guys agreed to operate this way. It's not Cara's fault that this happened. It's just not. It was not the result they were looking for within the agreement. You both fucked up, right? Like that's it. It just didn't go the way it was planned. And for you to get any hate on that is crazy to me. So I take your side over Jonathan's any day. I'll sell my Kaspa before I give you up on this one because it's stupid. Like it's just not. It's a nonsensical way to look at it. Was to be just blame the person who has the keys. They gave you a car to drive, right? And then they told you specifically go down this road. And then when the tires go flat because of the condition of the road, they blame you for it. No, yes, you could have steered off the road, right? You could have done it just a little bit differently and filtered a little bit differently, and it would have looked better. It still wouldn't have been what they wanted. You gave them exactly what they wanted, and this is the result. It's not your fault at all.
Yeah,
And it
It's
didn't
Onion's
take
fault.
long. Go ahead,
no,
Juan.
I was gonna say, and if anything, and I shared this on Monday's blockchain banner, it shines a light on, you know, Bishop. You said you'd sell your Caspa, but Jonathan isn't Caspa. Jonathan is one of the founders. He launched it, but he is not Caspa. Make all the right moves every single time, and I think this played out exactly in how it should, right? And the lessons are there, and I think the lessons are still to come. But yeah, I also think it shines a light on what I do see with, again, the devs are pretty amazing at what they do, being developers and do all that. But I also see this missing link in this industry with marketing and promoting and again, it was fun, like you said, you got the account trending. There's probably things you got to do to test the water and then see what the results are going to be. But again, I think it shines a light. The cool thing about this protocol is that it's, we're all Caspa. It's not just Jonathan. He's not the fucking CEO. He doesn't call all the shots. And, I'm sure, like you said, I think you made the right move, Kara. You knew what your spirit and your body was telling you, and that's the most important. That's sovereignty. That's one of the beautiful things about. And look, we're still around. We're still having the spaces. So if anything, I think it shines a light on that and lets you know what we have here, right? And what type of community. And this is super super fucking cool how it's, obviously it sucks going through it, but it's super, Jonathan's just a part of this, just like we are. thank you for launching it and thank you for doing all that, but he's not going to make all the right moves and all the right decisions. Appreciate what he does. And I'll tell him that to his face if I get to meet him, so that's one of the cool things about being in Caspa and really understanding what this is. So yeah, we obviously appreciate you. We love you, Kara, and we got your back. You know who your people are.
That's awesome. Thank you for that, Juan. You're always so positive.
I'll,
And
t- I'll tell him.
just
I'll tell him to his face. I'll tell him he can fuck off if he tries that shit again.
he loves that though, so don't worry. He
Well,
he
I
loves
bet he
being told to F
would.
off. He loves it
Well,
when
that's great.
Onion says it. He loves it when Onion tells him to F off. I think he looks forward to it. So
Well, there you go.
hopefully Onion will tell him to F off
I
every
think that
day
I
and
think that's part of
that'll
his
jerk
game.
Jonathan.
Yeah, I think that's part of his game. He's probably like, hey, I'm gonna mess this shit up if people just let me do what I want all the time. It's like I need some of you guys to fucking challenge me. That's probably what's going on here. That's probably the chess move that he's making. So we
Yeah,
got to step up.
Jonathan,
So we got to
yeah.
step up. We all
He
have
could,
something to bring, and we got to be. You got to be yourself in this, and that's one of the beautiful things. What's going to bring adoption to this is each of us bringing our gifts, sharing this shit, and being real, being authentic, and giving the truth. So
yeah,
cool.
if there were five Jonatans, they'd be having a circle jerk over Onion telling them to F off.
I
So
love and I see onions in the chat, but I love Onion's post. What he wrote something today.
okay.
I don't know if you want to come up, Onion, but he wrote something. What did he write in there? I can't think of it off the top. But oh yeah, Jonathan was talking. He had the interview with Vlad, and Vlad was saying how talking about Zcash and the privacy and all that shit. And Onion's like, I got an idea for you. It's a protocol that I've been working on. It's like you buy four capsulas and and you shove it up your ass or something like that, and you get all the privacy you need. They won't be able to find it in there. Oh my! When I read that tweet, I mean, to me, I laugh. I literally rolled around on the ground. I was in tears. I laughed so hard. But
That's the
oh, I
ultimate
love it.
privacy channel right up your ass.
That's privacy. Yeah, you want privacy? Grab four. Oh, I said that wrong. He was gonna switch it or exchange it for pennies. So you
Yeah,
turn,
4 pennies.
yeah, four
And
pennies and you shove
if
that up
you
your ass.
fart, it all comes out.
There you go. That's all the privacy you need. Oh man, this is great.
That was so cool. Yeah, he's got a big ball sack.
He does.
Onion. He I love that he says what he wants. Says it in such a funny way. Oh my
And we
gosh.
got
He has
Onion.
me
Onion just came.
cracking
You said
up.
you can't see the speakers or anything, but I
Oh,
just
I can
Onion
see
Buffalo just.
Onion.
Oh, you can. Okay.
I can see speakers only, but I can't see any listeners.
Okay. Yeah, we got Onion and Buffalo's back. So Onion, go ahead, brother.
Oh, I was just popping up. Y'all were discussing my very intellectual tweet. I see. Appreciate that.
Had to
That
give
So
that
was
a shout
so
out, man.
funny.
thank you, thank you. I always try to give. There's a lot of developers that give their 2 cents. I figured I give mine. Maybe Jonathan he gets stuck. And I'm just offering new ideas for him.
Speaking of
Like
stuck and you're going up their ass, maybe it's some constipation. Is there something for that?
Exactly. It's clogged. Today I just been spending all day just trying to rage bait Jonathan and Michael Sutton. I was able to get Michael Sutton to respond. Um, Jonathan doesn't really respond to my posts for some reason. Not sure why. Um, but yeah. So yeah, for some reason they don't really take my posts seriously.
Yeah, that's
they're
really
supposed to. They should. They really should take it serious. I mean,
yeah.
I'll talk
Yeah.
to him when I see him. We'll see if I can get through.
Thank you, thank you. It's a real privacy feature.
Yeah, these are. I mean, I think they're great ideas. If he's not seeing this, he hasn't responded. Okay, yeah. Let me. So in a couple weeks, I think I'm supposed to see him. So we'll see.
I made a Exactly. There was a post I made. Jonathan was talking about like ZK rollups with the Zcash stuff, blah 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 blah. And I made a post like, Jonathan, please stop with the technical jargon. Like, just let's just go back to pinky promises. Like, it's just a stupid tweet. And because of the Unchained stuff, people are like, "Oh, you're 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 too comfortable in Kaspa. You can't be making these jokes. You don't know what you did." I'm just like, "What the fuck, man? Like, my whole account is like retarded. I don't know why it'd be any different today, but you can't talk to Jonathan that way. You can't make a pink. You can't tell him to make pinky promises. Like, I don't even know.
Oh
Go
my,
fuck.
the back of my head hurts. Oh my god.
Yeah.
Wow.
Can you guys imagine if Onion ran the Caspa Unchained
Yeah.
account and what he'd say if there was no filter, if nobody filtered him or watered him down and he got to say whatever he wanted? Do you guys realize what that
Jonathan
would
would
have
love it.
done?
Well, yeah, but it would. Oh my god! I mean, the community drastically voted for him not to run the account. I think I went in there. I was
Please.
like, I was looking at the results, and Onion's like, "Hey, it's okay that you." I think I clicked not to have Onion run it, but I didn't do that on purpose, brother.
Oh, I
Uh,
thought you did. I was like,
yeah,
that's
yeah. So I think that's what you mentioned in the message. So yeah, I
yeah.
apologize. I just went on there. I never voted for. I don't participate in those votes, but
Oh, that's
yeah, but obviously the community said what they said, and you took it like a champ. So um,
Thank you. Yeah, that's. I just wanted to do something funny, but it turns out I read the room. It took a little. It takes time to read the room, right? And it takes time to also test a new little marketing strategy for the account. And yeah, just after reading the room, I was like, okay, these people really do not like this new style. I'm not even gonna run. So that was that. I ran I ran a Discord vote, and it only got 15 thumbs up and 100 thumbs down. So I was like, all right, clearly people do not want this. So I'll stop pushing the issue. So
Can you imagine how many times people would have to say stop saying ball sack if you did run the account?
oh god, I would just mute. No, I'm just kidding. Mute them. No, no. I mean, I understand. I understand it all, and it makes sense. But you just had to try a new theory. You know,
Yeah,
just
I would have loved to seen you run it, by the way. I've gotten to the point where after seeing all the hate that I did get, I'm under the impression that there's a lot of people that are uptight and a lot of people are way too serious.
yeah.
Um, so I'm glad that just for 2 days, 3 days, we got to, well, it wasn't even a full 3 days. It was more like a day and a half where we just went balls out. Or as the Caspa lady says, we went balls deep.
Exactly. There's a lot of people that did like it, but definitely the
Oh
majority.
yeah.
And I would also the idea too is like, look, Caspa is down 80 fucking percent. Like, let's have a laugh here, you know? But I understand. I understand. It makes sense.
Yeah. I really appreciate that you were a part of that. And I know there's people that hate that, but I loved that you were a part of it. I thought you came up with some funny material and I'd do that shit again in a heartbeat. That was fun.
Yes, that was awesome. Maybe not on the Unchained account, at least.
Right.
Yeah, because I totally get why the community was upset. So, but lesson learned.
Yeah. Yeah, we learn, we grow, we move on.
Now it's back to shitting on Bitcoin maxis. So.
Mhm.
which is what
Yeah.
you do. You do that really, really well. So I'm entertained by that too. So obviously I follow you and get alerts. I laugh my ass off all day with what you do and what you say to them. It's like you understand Bitcoin way better than all of them for sure.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
I appreciate the kind words and the support. That means a lot.
yeah, man.
Especially the past 3 days. I appreciate it.
Yeah, man. Just keep having fun with it, man. That's what it is. Eventually, they're gonna turn the corner and see the truth too.
Yes. Thank you.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Onion, you have me laughing every single day. Sometimes my stomach physically hurts from laughing so hard from stuff that you say. And it just brings out so much laughter that I have lacked most of my life. And I'm just so grateful for you. You are hilarious. And I don't care who thinks you're dumb and not funny. I think you're funny as hell. You get me laughing sometimes so hard that I'm holding myself, just trying to keep myself together.
Well, thank you. That means a lot. I appreciate that. I'm glad people appreciate the really weird jokes I crack. So thank you. That means a lot.
Yeah, and Juan, when you do your Rajat impression, that shit makes me laugh too. You guys are so funny.
All
Oh, I love
all you ever need, all you'll ever need is 0.1 Bitcoin. That's it. If you can't take an 80% drawdown, you don't understand Bitcoin. You don't.
How would okay? So if you're pretending, if you do it, will you do an impression of Rajat selling people something
Like his courses, you're saying?
or
On the spot?
anything? Because you have a background in sales. How do you think Rajat would sell something?
Oh no, he would I mean, wow. You got to give me. I got to think about this. I got to think of the angle because it's like he would be such a. I think he's a. I mean, obviously he sells like courses, right, and all that. I don't. He blocks me.
Yeah, he
I don't
does.
know. I have fun with you guys on the spot when we do this in the little chat that we've done a handful of times. But I just think he would.
Yeah, sorry, I didn't mean to put you on the spot. It's just I don't
It's
know.
all good.
Rajat is he is something else.
Yeah.
I love that man.
We'll come.
Raj is
We'll
a
come.
tool bag.
Well, I don't think we have to name call him. I think it's one thing to mock his voice and have an impression, but I don't think we need to crap on him when he's not here to defend himself.
That's true.
We should invite him on the spaces. You think he'll come?
Dude, I would love that. I would love to have him here. I think it would be a lot of fun.
I'll do the voice in front of him. That'll make me feel better.
Get the one Bitcoin.
Yeah, if we did it with him here, I would feel that has a lot more integrity.
Yeah.
Let him stand up for himself. Let him get mad to our faces. I would much prefer that.
Yeah, I think that'll be cool.
Yeah.
He
Fair.
hasn't blocked Onion, and Onion goes at him. He doesn't block any
Dude,
more Caspa people because I mean, if anything, I'll give him credit for that. I know he has a bunch of followers. He has people, and engagement and all that. So at least he doesn't block people. He blocked me though. I think way early. I'm the
Why
only
would
one
he
that's
block
blocked.
you? He hasn't blocked me. I would think he'd block me before you. That's
Yeah, for
crazy.
me,
He blocked you?
yeah, for me it was like I posted something because I found out that he had an Instagram account and he was a financial guy prior to being a Bitcoin guy. So I got all
oh
my
fuck.
info from someone else. I didn't confirm it. So maybe some of the things that I said weren't 100% spot on and he was like offended by it. And then he mentioned
Oof.
he's like I don't make video. He goes I do not make videos on things that I don't understand. And then I was like, well, you don't understand Bitcoin and you're making videos of that every fucking day. And then he blocked me. And then yeah, I haven't been able to. I can obviously see his post, but I can't comment.
That's freaking hilarious, dude. That's so.
Whoa. Wow.
I actually never. I don't want to show up. Never mind.
Yeah.
The only thing that okay, so of course there's the whole financial aspect, which is where we logically want to fight him. But I've been fighting him with the whole grammar thing because he does not use ending punctuation. And he said that he gave away a bunch of Bitcoin books and he was wondering why nobody would read them. And I said, well, maybe it's because you don't use ending punctuation. So I'm fighting him on a completely different topic. Uh, and this is the editor side of me. I asked him why he doesn't use it. Is it a style choice? Is it for some other reason? He has not answered. But I will say that I do know that he liked one of my posts where I basically stood up for him. I'm not a big fan of him. However, someone reported him for making a post about how Bitcoin wasn't risky, and they took it out of context, and then he was being investigated for his RFA license, I think it's called. And I had said a comment saying, look, people, I said something to the effect of, people take your words and they twist it apart, and I don't think you should have been investigated for that. I'm glad that the investigation's over. And he liked my post. And I think there's a part of him that knows that even though I give him crap about stuff, I think that was low blow and it's not something I would support. I mean, it's one thing to just bust somebody's balls for being stupid or retarded about something and having an opinion that you really think is dumb. But I think it's another to go after somebody's livelihood and twist their words around to try to take away something they worked really hard for. So I had his back on that. And so I think in a way he respects me, but he has not blocked me. He's not really talking to me, but every now and then he'll like one of my posts. So I think that's his kind of way of saying, I'm letting you hang around.
Yeah, he seems to be playing the game, and yeah, again, just surprised that because some of the things that people come at him with, I just noticed he probably, if anything, I'll give the guy credit. He has followers. He's marketing himself. I know that he spoke at the Bitcoin event last year. I think that's what really put him on the map with the Bitcoin community. But I've learned a lot when Caspa Onion goes at him, and even when he debated Silver initially, so I give him credit for that, so give the guy credit. Yeah, so we can go at him about Bitcoin and challenge him there. But you're right, it's just like it's a whole nother thing to do that and go after his livelihood. We don't need to be doing that shit.
Yeah, I don't support that shit at all. And I would encourage people here to think about how much time and effort it takes to get that kind of license. And he may have different viewpoints about Bitcoin, but to try to have him not get paid anymore and have his license stripped is just unacceptable. That's just very rude. And people could say, well, he shouldn't have mentioned that Bitcoin has no risk. I mean, that's twisting his words because he's got many videos where he says, hey, this is risky. He's got many posts where he acknowledges the risk. So again, it's twisting his words, it's taking it out of context. It's people trying to find something to say, hey, I gotcha. And I think that's really, really low. These are human beings. Let's disagree. Let's throw balls jokes, whatever, but let's not go after people's professional licenses.
Yeah,
That's really crazy.
no
Yeah.
need for that. I think we learn a lot with us going at after the whole Bitcoin stuff and just when things come up. And I think there's a lot to learn there, right? When we do that, but yeah, we don't need to get dirty with it. No need for that. But Buffalo, you've had your hand up for a bit?
Oh yeah. No, I just been listening. Sorry, I had two appointments and one of them canceled, so I was like, I'll come back, hang out, be supportive. So so yeah, thank you. I had a point, but first I wanted to rep Onion real quick. Dude, the stuff that you've been putting out has been so damn funny and so thoughtful. And I know that you get shit for being a shit disturber. But the research and the time that you put in, I don't know if anybody knows this, but Onion's very good at shit posting, but he has the brain to back it up. And if we would have continued with the Caspa Unchained the way that it was, and I'm not faulting you, Cara, for pulling out, I don't blame you at all, but they would be able to see that. And I think with this new project that Onion and Warrior is working on, I'm really excited to see the stuff that comes out of it. So really, really stoked and definitely rep that. That's fucking rad. Because I think it's going to build the community and help the community. So I'm really, really stoked on it. But there was a point that I wanted to make before I left earlier, and I wanted to ask anybody if they knew what the Cantillon effect is.
Tell me.
Okay. So there's an economist, Richard Cantillon, in the 18th century. Yeah, we had economists in the 18th century. Um, So he was talking about the Cantillon effect. So he had this idea, and it's not really an idea. It's just it's played out uh, consistently when new money is printed. So it's what happens when the government and the central bank print large amounts of money. They have to put it out there, right? So usually when that happens, they drop the interest rates. But also this goes to banks and institutions first, right? So large banks, financial institutions, asset owners, and people who want to go borrow money, right? So think of it like this: before your money gets fucked every 4 years or so, or every year or whatever, you have people who get to have cheap money, and that's before the inflation actually goes up, because the money gets printed long before inflation goes up. We understand that because it's not put out in the public. So the Cantillon effect is the fact that the people that are rich get their first payday. So everything is cheap, or cheaper than it's going to be in like 2 years, that they get first buy. So imagine getting cheap ass money, let's say millions or billions of dollars, and the property prices aren't up yet. So they go in and they buy a group of properties or whatever. So now they're putting that liquidity into the system, into the hands of the people. And of course, that takes time to catch up. But the Cantillon effect is that if you are rich and you have a lot of money, when that money gets printed, you get to be the first holder of that liquidity before the value of it drops. So you have people who are in high positions, or businesses, or people who purchase property or goods or whatever, that already have a lot of money, and then they get to make more money, and they don't have to deal with the inflation. So they get given the money at a low percentage. When they spend it and buy property, it goes out there and the prices of everything goes up, and they get to hold their value and their energy. And the parallel I wanted to make on this is that the benefit is for the rich, of course, but this has been historically accurate. This is the way money works. So they have access to cheap credit and direct bailouts first when that money gets printed. With Kaspa, it's a first come, first served basis. It has nothing to do with credit, at least not yet, but it has nothing to do with credit. It has to do about the early adopters who actually get really, really rich and actually beat the game. And I know that we talked about monetary parts and things earlier, but I want everybody to understand how important that is that when money gets changed, the people who are leading it, or the people who have access to it before everybody else, so us basically, we get we get the money cheap, and then we get to loan it out, or we get to use it at an inflated price. Just like the people who bought Bitcoin a long time ago, now it's an inflated price. But the great thing is that it's not complete inflation, it's just deflationary. So it just continues to go up in value. So it doesn't matter how many boats you own, or homes you own, or how much you have in the stock market. You can be a regular average Joe at the beginning of something and make a really, really great profit and not be affected by the Cantillon effect. And that was something I wanted to say earlier, but I had bookmarked it and we never got to the point. But I just wanted to say that, and hopefully bring some awareness of the benefit of having sound money.
Thank you for sharing that. Sound money has a history to it, right? And I love that you brought something up it's bringing up history from a very, very long time ago to explain where we are today, which kind of circles back to what we were talking about earlier. History, understanding it, helps us understand our awareness of where we are today. So I'm really grateful that you shared that. Juan, I'm curious if you've heard any of this when reading into those books that you've been reading on the printing of the dollar. Have you heard this? Is this something that you're familiar with?
I mean, Buffalo brings up so I wasn't aware of it being called the Cantillon effect, but it speaks specifically to what we talked about earlier with when again, what's the signal right now? Taking a look at where the nominal price is for Bitcoin for Kaspa, which again at the base layer, these assets they're the complete opposite of a debt-based system. So right now they're considered. I would say in Buffalo, you can correct me on this, but they're considered risk on assets, right? So
Yeah.
one of the tools that measures what's happening with I would say the continual effect would be like if you look at the price of gold, right? Gold has doubled within the last few years, and that shows you what's happening with the dollar. So so seeing where assets are like Bitcoin, like Caspa, those are signals that the money is drying up and they're about to throw in this Cantillon effect. They're about to print money. So if you own hard assets, you're a main beneficiary in that. And obviously there's other layers to this where like Buffalo just shared, where people that are, so again, how does that benefit the people that hold assets? They don't really have to do anything because when they print the money, so when they print this money, it goes, they're taking it from the people that save in that money, right? That's saving these dollars. So those are the people that are hurt the worst, and they're the ones that revolt. Um, and all that we've seen played out, yeah. So you can look at history, but I mean, look as recently as back to 2020. I believe it's 80% of the supply of money that's out there right now was printed in the last 5 years after COVID.
Yep.
And now we have this that we have 38 trillion in our deficit, which by the way is insolvent. And our debt, the debt, I mean, the entire world is on a debt-based system. All of that's insolvent. So all that we know that we're never going to be able to pay this back. So in order to keep this up, they have to print more money. And if you own assets, which by the way, it's only 1 billion people on the planet that own assets. Most of the people on this planet do not. We benefit if you have an asset like a Caspa, like a Bitcoin, homes, gold, hard assets benefit first. So, a lot of us get excited about seeing the price of Bitcoin and Caspa go up, but what that also means is that it just means that the money supply is being expanded and it's screwing over the people that actually probably need Caspa more than anything. So if anything, I think it speaks to that. But yeah, Buffalo, I appreciate you bringing that up. I wasn't aware that it was called the Cantillon effect. I just looked it up here. But yeah, man, you explained that beautifully and perfectly.
Yeah. Thanks, man. But this is something that you just brought up that I really appreciate because you're absolutely right. When you have hard assets, you can use that as leverage, and you can get a very, very minimal fee for the borrowing, right? So if you've got gold or if you've got property or whatever, and not you personally, but let's say that you're a financial system, and you have that leverage, that as soon as that gets printed and they drop those rates, you even get a better deal than those rates are dropped depending on how much that you borrow, right? It's like, okay, well, I'll borrow this much. It's the whole thing. Like you go to Costco for a cheaper deal, right? Because you're buying in bulk. It's kind of the same thing. So if you have hard assets like Caspa, Bitcoin, gold, silver, property, um, then you can use that as leverage, get really, really cheap money, take that money, either buy property, put up a project, if you want to do a project and rent and whatever, s- you know, you write it up and you're like, okay, I'm going to pay 1.6%. I'm going to build this. It'll be profitable in 3 years. I've got, 18 or let's say 400 apartments in this complex. Like you're getting free fucking money. You're getting free money for having an asset. Hence why the bank in this situation wants to be able to hold our coins. So, granted, there's a lot of good things with the Genius Act, but part of it is the banks being able to hold something of value, hence Bitcoin, right? hence Kaspa. So it's gonna basically, it's not so much a wealth, it is a wealth transfer, but it's putting the freedom and the power back in the hands of the people, especially the people who come in early.
Right, and that you know what it speaks to. So like understanding that, okay, Bitcoin was first, right? So Bitcoin was really the first. Because here's the thing too. So I own some commercial real estate. I had to be called called an accredited investor, right? So that's like you have to make a certain amount of money to even be in these circles. So understand that most people do not have access to these assets. You have to make a certain amount, and that's bullshit in itself, as I see it, right? So assets like Bitcoin, like you could go buy gold too. They're gonna benefit from all this printing, right? So again, 80% of what was printed was done in the last 5 years, and with the numbers, the math isn't mathing. Like we have to print more. It's just it's inevitable, right? That this it's what the system needs, or else the system completely collapses and all assets fall, right? And we're not going to let that. It's just not going to happen. So yeah, I appreciate that, Buffalo.
Yeah, yeah, no, thank you, thank you. One more point that I just want to put out there. We have So this is the whole deal with what Trump's trying to do is he wants to eliminate the debt, and he wants to use crypto to do that. And right now you have China, who is hoarding and buying as much gold as they can. They have for a bit, and they've been selling off bonds from America. So it's interesting to see how China right now is kind of pushing towards gold, and America still has their gold, but they're pushing in crypto because they see what's happening, what's coming. So it's two kind of big superpowers that are trying to vie for power and for the future, for AI and and computing power and all these things. But if America is pushing to be able to pay off the debt with crypto, because they have I mean, it's a worldwide economy, right? It's worldwide people who put in money into Bitcoin and Ethereum, all these things. That I find that's really interesting, because they're going to lax all these all these laws to a certain extent in America, and I think that's going to draw more investors. I don't think it'll be like Dubai, unfortunately, but they're going to bring more of these investors in, and maybe we'll get rid of the $37 trillion of debt uh, right now. Hopefully in the future. But it's just fun to think about, fun to see, and I'm excited about the future.
I think the debt's insolvent. I don't think we'll ever pay that back. That's wishful thinking. It's gonna take a lot for that to. I mean, Elon tried with Doge, and how did that work out? He found out that shit. There's things that he probably can't even talk about. But I think the system needs a collapse. I don't know if it takes 5 years, 10 years, 20, 30 years, but this shit just doesn't work. It enslaves people that work for what other men can print, and that's just not right. It just needs to fall apart. So I think when you save in sound money like Kaspa, like a Bitcoin, even gold, and Kaspa is just better than all those. You're ahead. You're ahead of the game. Bishop, I saw you had your hand up, brother. Did you have something to say?
Yeah, I loved everything Buffalo said, and it reminded me of the video that you sent me today that Jeff
Mm,
Booth was talking about how the natural order of the free market is deflationary.
mm,
And when you Juan, when you were talking about gold earlier, and the fact that it's like highest it's ever been, yet the dollar its lowest ever been, it just proves the mistake they made in the 70s by going from a gold based system to a debt based system, because the value of the gold going up, backing the dollar, would show strength in the dollar. And as Buffalo's talking and he's laying out, that this economic future that it looks like things are heading towards, if what did the banks do to dissolve gold backed, right? They took everyone's gold, said we'll store it for you, and then go, guess what? Never mind, we're going to give you the paper instead. That's what they're trying to do with the crypto as well. At least that's what it sounds like, right? They're trying to open a space to have that asset. So it's really odd that the free market has been forced upon us. That's exactly what I was thinking when Buffalo was talking. It's like, yes, as you have these assets, they are now more valuable than any dollar possible. Um, and just for simple numbers, the first house I bought was in 2011. It was $98,000. It's now worth 230,000. It's not going to be worth less than that in the long term. The natural order of the free market is deflationary. It's going to continue to rise. So I will always be able to recoup real world money off the value of that asset. The fact that we are driving so hard to gain dollars on, as you were talking, actually, I think we talked about it earlier in the day, Juan, um, our own proof of work for someone else's paper note. Like, no, I got the asset. Now you want to give me it because you see what I have that you don't. And I think us as a people, regardless of what it looks like, gold, Bitcoin, Kaspa, houses, doesn't matter. The assets, we have been forced into sovereignty because we can't trust the fiat system. And this crypto space is really helping to get us there. So focusing on what's the most decentralized version of it, that's where the Caspa thing, where I'm like, I almost cross my fingers every day. Don't list it on Binance. Don't put it on crypto.com. Don't push it out further, because the longer it stays decentralized, the better opportunity it'll be later on. So it can't get centralized the way Bitcoin is now.
I 100% agree.
Yeah, you're spot on. And once people catch on to what Caspa is, right? It's just like it's been around for 4 years. People really don't understand this. They're starting to understand Bitcoin. They're going to start looking at, okay, what else is out there? And when they come across Caspa, they're going to be like, oh shit, this is a better version of what Bitcoin tried to be. And it actually can be a peer-to-peer. That's why, I mean, if you're holding a large bag of Caspa, you're going to directly benefit from this. And so I said earlier, I looked this up. Gold has doubled in price in the last 2 years. So it was less than, it was $2,000 in January of 2020. Any other time this has happened in human history, the currency has collapsed. And so it's like the fact that this is even propped up the way it is right now is unbelievable. And it's just a matter of time before they have to inject more liquidity into the system. They have to, or else it collapses. And you know, like what you talk. Well, for example, with Bishop, you know, you have those properties. A lot of this is artificially just propped up because that's where most people go to save their money. You know, it makes more sense to buy some properties so that you can save your money that way. So people use homes, which are for utility. People are supposed to live in homes, but you know, I live here in Miami, and this building are empty, and you know, it's this is where rich people store their, and these are the first things that get to benefit from the money printing. You know, asset prices, homes, they go up. It's incredible.
And it's going to be that way for Kaspa. It's going to be that way for Bitcoin.
Yeah.
And that natural state of deflation. So when they say all you need is zero point 0.1 Bitcoin, I actually understand that more today by listening to that video that you sent me, where if the natural order is deflationary, then yes, Bitcoin at some point is going to be worth a shit ton of fiat somewhere, because it's going to continue to rise because it is an asset. The coolest part about Caspa that I'm, you know, jokingly said I would sell it before, you know, I defended Jonathan in this whole thing. Like, you actually can use the asset. Like, I can't take my house and do other things with it besides rent it out, and that will generate money. But like, I can't buy 5 different things with my house and then sell those 5 different things and buy a house. Like, it's just, you don't trade house things, you know. But like with Caspa, you can trade that, increase the value of the asset through what you use, and it's just a really cool fucking thing to have. So I'm excited for it. That's why we go live on VVoice every Tuesday at 11:30. to continue to show the usage of what the chain is capable of, because Bitcoin can't even transact its own tokens, where Kaspa can do that and stream live, send text messages, make phone calls, like so many other things. And that's why, like, I'm super excited for Kaspa to grow, and I'm not scared of the price going down because it has to go up just based on deflationary purposes.
Yeah, we've seen this play out with Bitcoin, right? So again, going back to, I've said it a couple times during the spaces, but if you understand that what Kaspa is doing and Bitcoin are bounded by energy, it is literally repricing everything in the debt-based system. So if you want to take a look at what the potential future value of Kaspa can be, that's why, he's talking about this video that I sent of Jeff Booth. Encourage you guys to listen to him. He talks a lot about how Kaspa's better than Bitcoin. He doesn't even know it. Because everything that he says confirms Kaspa for me. So it's like, okay, he talks about, okay, as long as Bitcoin's decentralized and secure, it will reprice everything, absolutely everything. And the natural state of the free market is deflationary. So I gave this example last week, right? When you take a home priced in Bitcoin 10 years ago in fiat, if you were to break that down in fiat, the average price of a home here in America was 250K. And now it's 450K, right? Where if you price that in Bitcoin, it was whatever, 100 Bitcoin back then, and it's like 2 or 3 Bitcoin now, or well 3 or 4 Bitcoin now. So my numbers aren't exactly right, but you guys get the point. So it's important, once you understand that, that's what makes it easy for me to convert this fiat into, as much Kaspa as I can every single day, because I know it's inevitable. It's going to happen. I understand the macro part of this. And for me, it's just, yeah, it's as much as I can. And, for you guys, encourage you to study that, understand that, and whatever you can move over comfortably. Because the more and more you move your time over to this, and like Bishop talked about, we can actually use this Casper. We get on Vivor, we're supporting the miners. That's a fee that goes to the miners. And there's so much more being built out to actually use this. And if you're in this ecosystem, you're going to benefit like you don't even understand. You don't even understand. We're going to party on yachts, and it's going to be nothing. That'll be fun.
I love that idea of yachts. I want to kind of shift this a little bit into a question that I had asked everyone on X, and I got a mixed set of answers. I got a lot of yeses and a lot of nos. And the question I asked was, can the internet be built on Kaspa? And I asked Grok this question, and it said yes. And I asked it to give me some examples of things that are already happening to prove this. So I just want to list some of these things. I found this really interesting because here we are talking about the value of money and where things are going, right? But we also want something sound. We like the sound money, and we want something that'll stick around for longevity. So check this out. According to Grok, Kaspa can actually handle the whole internet. Here's why. And it gives a few of these that are already happening. So first there's identity and naming. So there's the KNS, the Kaspa name service. So we can already have domains. Then there's messaging. We have Cassia messaging, which is end-to-end encrypted, fully on-chain messaging. And I believe it has a 10 kilobyte allowance as far as attachments. And then there's file storage. So we have Kaspa Drive, KIPFS. This is live and it's growing, and it's a way to have file storage. Then there's web hosting. Yes, web hosting on Kaspa, according to Grok. Now, I have not seen this, but this is what Grok is telling me, is that there's static sites hosted via KRC20 inscriptions or Casplex on the layer 2. And it says that there's thousands of sites already live. Then there's social networks. There's a few already that we know about. The Kaspa native Fediverse, which is Mastodon-like. Peepin, it's like a Twitter clone. And there's multiple live instances of this. And there's several. There's more than I'm even listing here. And then there's video and streaming. So apparently there's CastTube, which is a decentralized YouTube, live peer-to-peer streaming, as well as Vivor. We're streaming live on Vivor, which is powered by Kaspa right now. And CastTube is in the beta version right now, but it's working well, according to Grok. And then there's DNS replacement, which is a handshake style decentralized DNS resolving to the .cas or the IPFS hashes. This is also live. Then we have full websites, anything from blogs to complex dApps. And this is via Casplex EVM, the layer 2, or the upcoming vProgs. And according to Grok, thousands deployed. So if we look at the big picture here, this is all before vProgs. Imagine with vProgs what we can do. We can do the whole internet on freaking Kaspa, right? And think about what that means as far as when you make a video, it's not going to be taken down by Big Brother. If you make a transaction, that's sound money. If you put a message out to someone, you're not going to get blocked or banned by WhatsApp or Signal. And this is built on Kaspa. We don't have to worry about Cloudflare shutting down because of some wire issue. Everything would be secure. We wouldn't have to worry about huge network shutdowns, especially when we have a node that's been launched into space by KII. We have a whole bunch of things as far as utility. A lot of utilities are in the works. And so we can take what we were learning from the value of money and also apply it to the value of the security of what we use for the internet for sharing energy and information and pictures and videos and socials and websites and domains, storing our files. Things are going to shift in a big, big way once we get vProgs. And I don't know if people are ready for what's really coming. I think it's going to melt faces. And a lot of us feel this way. And I just gave some examples. These are huge. These are not small things. Imagine for a minute the coins that have God candles that are just meme coins that have no utility. Imagine what's going to happen when people see what's coming with this, the God candles that are going to come. So we are early. We see what's coming and we have conviction because we see it. And the fundamentals are so strong that our community, the only thing we can fight about is whether or not it's okay and acceptable to say words like ballsack or virgin cuck or whatever right? It's just, that's the worst that people could talk about because our fundamentals are so strong that it really at this point just becomes a matter of how do we move the narrative to describe how awesome this is? What is going to be the appropriate language to describe what's coming? There's not just one hoity-toity way to say it. We don't have to be all politically correct and PR appropriate to get our point across. There's fucking shit, cool shit, fucking goddamn shit, fucking awesome cut balls coming. And it's fucking awesome.
Kara, okay, I know you have this recorded, but I need you to soundbite what you just said because it is very important that you do. And I think that you need to share that 110%. Because not only is Caspa sound money, but what's going to end up happening is it's going to create a new internet. It's going to create a decentralized internet, which is a wild fucking thing. It really is. And I'm so glad that you like broke that down and explained it. And you're like, yeah, this is what's happening. This is what's happening. This is what's happening. And people are like, oh, Caspa, I'm just going to invest in Bitcoin. I'm like, bro, we're going to have freedom on the internet. Do you not understand this? Do you know how big this is to have freedom and sovereignty on the internet? It's going to be wild. So I'm so glad that you broke that down. And this is kind of why I've been saying for 6 months to a year that people are not ready for vProgs. They are not ready for Caspa. They will be using Kaspa and they will not know it. That is what's going to happen. It is going to change everything. And I know, Cara, I know you know, Juan, I know you know, I know a few of us here know this, but for the people sitting and listening, you have to understand what you hold. There is a reason why we invested, and there's a reason why we hold. But I'm going to tell you right now, we don't even know how good it's going to be. I understand quite a bit when it comes to money and when it comes to the internet, because, millennial, I was here when it happened. But honestly, we don't understand the depth and the gravity of the whole situation. And I'm so glad that you just brought that up. Cara, it's gonna be fucking wild. So when we're sitting at 4 cents, I don't care. I mean, like, I'm gonna go stand on the street corner in a little bit because I need to be able I need to be able to buy more Caspa. So I'm just saying, whatever you have to do within the next 6 months to buy as much Caspa as you can, it is a good choice. Lock it up, put it in cold storage. All these things are going to be built. Talk to people about it. Let them know, like, people you care about. I mean, honestly, I'm not going to try and convince Rajat because I'm like 50-50 on him about he probably owns enough. And if he doesn't, fuck him. But honestly, it's going to change so much when it comes to interaction and file sharing and communication and freedom. So I'm really stoked about it. Kara, you need to put that as a soundbite. If somebody wants to understand what's going to happen in this space, you explained it perfectly.
Well, thank you. I've been following along this kind of stuff for a very long time, and every time something new comes out, I get more bullish. My conviction goes up. So every time I get hate from someone pointing out a chart and saying, "Look at the chart, Caspa's down, Caspa's down," and I'm thinking, do you know what's being built? Are you paying attention to what's being built, my man? Come on, bro, look at what's being built. We recently saw X go down because it was dependent on Cloudflare. And we spent hours without X because the internet, it didn't have a reliable uptime for this. Cloudflare let people down. We've seen AWS let people down. We've seen things go down all the time. Imagine having uptime, how valuable that is, not just to you and I as individuals and cypherpunks, but with what that means to companies that really need to have reliable uptime, what that means for governments, what that means for huge groups that rely on this. I mean, this is something that is global, and that's very valuable, and I think it's priceless. I don't even know how you put a number or a price on it other than just the free market and demand. And right now, there is demand for Caspa, but the problem is there's so much fear over what's going on with money in general because, as Juan and Buffalo has stated, and Bishop, we can look at the direction of money and what it's done and how people are scared of what's going to happen. We don't know when the money's going to be printed. There's this sense of we need to have something deflationary, having some purchasing power, and it's it's a wild territory where there's not a whole lot of control, which makes people inevitably move towards sovereignty, which is what Bishop had brought up. Sovereignty is just something that people are inevitably going to move to because of this situation. And making that shift is not always easy. It's not easy to shift from fiat to crypto and then trust it when you see everything crashing in the stock market and the money you put in divides in half. And you have families to support and car payments and everything else. It is risky. It is volatile, but that's a result of what the dollar has done. And so a lot of people have kind of put it this way where they say, don't put money in crypto to invest. Put your money in crypto so that it's it's another way of having your money, right? It's just it's to deflationary your money. It's to make your money have a little bit more power over time. But it is risky because of the volatility, which we can see right now. We can see that, ooh, there's extreme fear happening across this whole environment. And it's not just crypto. We can look at the stocks. We can see this all across the board. Everyone's feeling it. We're all in the same boat. We might have different size boats, but we're all in the same ocean here. And we're feeling it. We're going through this together. And as it's been said, it's going to go up, it's going to go down, things are going to turn around. It's inevitable that the money's going to be reprinted because that's just what happens. And if it doesn't, it collapses, but it needs to collapse, which is what Juan had said because of the reasons he pointed out. So whatever happens, it's going to be a free market moving towards sovereignty and deflationary money, sound money, which is eventually going to be what happens anyway. The question is when. The question is how far down the road is it? People are looking at Agenda 2030 as being a huge turning point. And we can look at the fact that let's look at Bitcoin for a minute as far as extreme fear. If we look at their charts of not the price chart, but the miner chart, look and see the miners were getting paid tons of money. And now it's completely dropped where they're hardly getting paid anything, which is a result of people using the Lightning Network, which is not supporting the miners.
Yep.
And the miners aren't getting paid. And so people are making the connection to how that affects Bitcoin's price and how it plays a role in all of this, but it does. And the primary narrative of Caspians when they're having conversations with Bitcoiners or trying to get their attention is Lightning is not Bitcoin. Lightning is a layer 2. Lightning is not the same as Bitcoin. It does not support the miners. It does not help their security budget. But a lot of them don't care. But if they look at that chart, they would care because it's been a huge rug pull on all of the miners for Bitcoin. And if we look at all the other coins in the market, they're looking at Bitcoin. The other coins are looking at Bitcoin for stability and for coping and for getting a sense of everything's going to be okay. But they're not making that connection of, Lightning might be fucking with this. Let's take a look at this. And this is where Kaspa comes in as a solution. And this makes Bitcoiners afraid because for them, Bitcoin is their end game. It's their store of value. They don't want to spend it unless it's on Lightning, which doesn't support the network, which helps it implode. So they have to store it and not use it. But if they use Kaspa, they can spend it or store it. But that's risky because it's different. And Sailor hasn't told them to do it. And a lot of them don't think for themselves. They need someone else to tell them what to do rather than just look for themselves. And so that's kind of also what we're facing here. And I mean no disrespect to Bitcoin for saying this. I realize that it takes a big bump to another coin when you're a one coiner. I get that. When you only believe in one thing, I get that it's different. But all I ask is study Kaspa. Just look into it. Just study it. Try it out. Put it in your wallet. Just try it. See how fast it works. See how secure it is. Look to see how many nodes we got going. Just study it and see if it's something that you think would be cool for you because, in my view, it is the future. It is the present. We're already there. We're already building. There's already things in the works. Plus, there's TBD AI, which is going to be the business version of ChatGPT. And that's being built on Kaspa. 33 million businesses are being uploaded to Kaspa just for this one thing. And that's on top of everything I listed before, the web hosting, the messaging, the social media, the networks, the KNS domains, all of that. So add AI to all this for businesses. If that doesn't get you excited to go, aha, what about the energy companies? What about the fact that the Desert Industrial Initiative is now KII, Kaspa Industrial Initiative, and they have dozens of energy companies on board using Kaspa for its utility? If energy companies don't do it for you, what about the fact that we have a node going into outer space being launched by these energy companies so that we can be World War III that's coming out? I mean, if this isn't bullish, I don't know what to tell you.
Real quick, could I jump in?
Go, Onion.
Okay, so I just thought of something related to all of this. There's you know how like if you're early to Bitcoin, you benefit from the price action later on. Well, with Kaspa, I would argue that there's an arbitrage we can all make right now, and what that is essentially, literally by the minute, there are applications on Kaspa that are being built that are making you not have to rely as much on FANG companies. So Kaspa is challenging FANG, and a few examples of this is, for example, Kasaya messaging. That would be like a Telegram alternative, right? I would even argue Discord, because Kasaya messaging just got the ability to do public group chat broadcasting. So that's kind of tapping into Discord. And I guess what I'm trying to say here is that Vivor, that's now tapping into Twitch. So we're now seeing, okay, this is getting right up Silicon Valley. What the hell's going on here? And the network's only $1 billion. So, okay, there's an arbitrage with the price of the coin. But hold on, I'm cooking. Hear me out. Hear me out. There's we're in one or 2 weeks, I don't know the exact timeline, but there's a developer who made a beautiful X alternative that's launching on the layer 1 very soon. Caspa Silver's been using it and I tested it out. It's so cool. It works beautifully. That's an X alternative. Look how much money, if you look up how much money Elon Musk paid for X, and then how cheap some indie developer can launch it on Caspa for like, I don't know, just man hours. The guys get like, that's another Silicon Valley company that's cooked. And why am I sharing all this? Because there's a arbitrage with the same way that the price is cheap now. There's a utility value that we actually can benefit from. If you think about Caspa or if you think about Bitcoin as like a highway that's only like one lane, Caspa's main um, benefit is its throughput. How many cars can be driving at once and how fast can they go? Caspa can have the most amount of cars that go the fastest. Well, guess what? Right now we have the biggest highway and only just now are cars barely starting to enter Kasaya, this X alternative, the file storage upload. So something I want to share, a great way for all of us to support the miners and stuff, that in a selfish way, the same way that we maybe have selfish reasons for wanting to get 100x on our money, right? But we all benefit the Caspa ecosystem. If you so there's a way to upload files to Caspa and use it as file storage. Here's the arbitrage. If instead of using Dropbox, you can store files for so cheap on Caspa, there's already a service out there that lets you like use it as Dropbox. And if you think about it, the only price is like one Caspa, like the transaction fee. So if you think about it, right now there is a Dropbox alternative that is virtually free and permanent. And if you think about what happens in 5 years when there starts to not be traffic, but there's more cars on the road? It might be 5 Caspa. So something that I'm personally going to be doing is I'm trying to figure out what data do I love and want to have in the cloud, but I want privacy for, and I don't want to pay cloud service providers $20 a month. I can just put it on Caspa for free forever. Well, right now there's an arbitrage. Nobody's using the network. I'm going to pay 1 cent to have all my files stored forever for free. So right now, no one's using it. So that'll only go up as people use it. And same with the X alternative. maybe I have a bunch of tweets or opinions I can get out now on the alternative once it launches, for really cheap before traffic. I guess what I'm trying to say is, you can, as more applications arrive on Caspa, you can use its utility value cheaper than when it's popular. So just be like the same way you can be strategic about buying Caspa, you can also be strategic about using Caspa, the utility value, like think of whatever business or utility you want to do and how many transactions it's going to be. There's value in doing it sooner rather than later, if that makes sense. So anyway, that's my 2 cents, my two
Thank
Caspa.
you.
Yeah.
Thank you, Onion. And I do
That
want to
was
get to
worth a million
Deku next.
Kaspa, the way.
Yeah.
That was,
I want to
I
get
just
to
had to say
Deku
that.
next. But I want to just say, Onion, thank you for sharing that. You made some really, really good points. Juan, was there anything you wanted to add before we go to Deku?
No, not at all. I just wanted to say that was worth. He said it's 2 Kaspa. That was worth a million Kaspa right there. Just the way
Yeah,
you
it
cooked
was.
right there,
It really
brother.
was.
You
You cooked
cooked. You
it.
cooked. Yep,
You
that was it.
cooked.
Let's go to
All right,
Deku.
Deku, go ahead.
Your mic isn't off, Deku. If you're trying to speak.
Yeah, let's make sure you turn the mic on. We can't hear you.
Oh, sorry. Were you guys talking to me?
Yeah, go ahead.
Oh, my bad. I didn't have my hand up, so I didn't realize. I guess what I wanted to bring up was the Binance Oracle glitch that happened around October, and how that could bring issues in the future, and how decentralized oracles could fix that.
I think that would be a really good question for someone with some technical knowledge. Is there anyone in our audience who feels qualified to answer that? Because I don't know enough about that.
I'm not going to say that I'm qualified, but I can tell you what Jonathan said. Um, so he's working out a self-sustaining oracle within Caspa that this will not be an issue in the future. I'm not sure when it'll be released, but I can guess that it'll be with uh, that that Binance will not be able to have that control, at least over Binance, or at least over Caspa. He's spoken about it a few times. I might have reposted it. I'll have to repost it again because I think that's a really good point, and thank you for bringing it up. But it looks like it at the very least it can be handled in house, and it won't be able to be manipulated outside of Caspa.
Okay, I got you. From what I understand from a lot of people that I talk to about investing in Caspa, a lot of them are worried about that exact problem. The Binance centralization with the oracles is a big deal for them because the amount of money that was liquidated on that day, honestly, is an insane amount of money. Like 19 billion in global liquidations in just one day. I think it was like in a 30-minute period.
What are you talking about?
He's talking about October 10th,
Yeah,
right?
so he's talking
Yeah,
about October
with
10th.
Yeah, correct.
On
Correct. Yeah.
October 10th.
oracles and all this. Listen, none. I have a lot of Caspa. I'm a Bitcoin guy. I got a lot of Caspa. It's a proof of work DAG. It's a great little network. There's no liquidity in the market. None of this is going anywhere for a while until interest rates are cut and there's just so many dollars and no one knows where to spend it. That's why altcoins have never gone anywhere. And it won't.
So do you remember October 10th when everything dipped for like?
Yeah, but
Okay.
the altcoins weren't going anywhere before that.
Moonlight, you just got here, right? How long have you been on the space?
I just
Okay, cool.
walked
All
in.
right, yeah.
But I know altcoins and I know Kaspa. I own a shit ton. I own more than anyone in this
I
room.
doubt you do. I doubt you do.
Nah,
I doubt
I
it.
don't think so.
I-
I've been buying it below a cent. So
okay, great.
So Moonlight. So this is the point. So the Oracle.
the Oracle.
He
Okay.
probably. I mean,
Yeah,
are
the
you?
Oracle of centralization. Yeah.
So this is the idea that with DAG Knight and vprogs that just coming up, the Oracle will not be able to be manipulated. It's not going to be like free reign,
What
right? So it's going to be in house.
What are you talking about? Oracle not being manipulated?
It's not. How do I explain
What
this?
is
This
the
is
Oracle? What's the Oracle?
Okay,
So
there we go. Yeah. So hold on.
okay.
Moonlight. We're hold on. Deku was asking about the Oracle. I believe what you're speaking on, Elliot Maya. You familiar with Elliot?
What are you
Deku?
talking about?
I'm not
yeah,
talking
yeah,
to you, Moonlight. You're gonna get muted.
yeah, yeah. You continue.
Okay, you're familiar with Elliot. Okay, yeah. So Elliot gave a talk at Berlin about what he's doing. So I know that Jonathan has tasked him with coming up with that portion of it. So I think he's a really good person to follow in terms of the developments of what he's looking to build with the Oracle. Um, but yeah, that topic is a little bit over my head too, and I think um, the people here on the panel. So, but I think Elliot is a great person to follow in regards to the developments on that. And I see Casper Onion with his hand up. Go ahead, bud.
Real quick, thank you.
Real quick, I just want to mention, not to put the, no pun intended, not to put the spotlight on Moonlight. We could discuss oracles, but we had a really good discussion about sovereignty and the internet with X and stuff. And I know that Moonlight, I've seen him in other Bitcoin spaces and stuff. He's also hilarious, by the way. Um,
Thank
this
you, thank you, thank you, thank
Yeah,
you.
no problem. We had a really good conversation, I think, before you hopped on about just sovereignty regarding all the FANG companies like Discord, um, uh, Google Drive, Telegram, and X, and how you have to rely on third parties. Well, right now, all of that can currently be done
I agree. I
on.
agree. I agree 100% with what you're saying.
Okay, what are your thoughts on Kaspa being able to already be those alternatives and run on a node besides
Okay. All
with the
right.
Bitcoin?
All right. Listen, I own Kaspa. Okay. What the fuck program is on Kaspa right now? There's
So
nothing. There's not even a good program on Ethereum. There's nothing.
That's an opinion, and
No, no. All
there's
right,
many
tell me a
people.
program. The only one I know is Arweave with storage.
okay, real
Okay,
quick, let me.
we use Vivor for
We
live
we just
streaming.
went
There's
live on
Cassia
Vivor
messaging.
yesterday. Like what
Yeah,
are you?
there's Cassia
Hold
messaging.
on, hold
There's
on, hold on,
many.
hold on. Teach me, teach
Moonlight,
me.
a
Hold on.
second,
I
please.
didn't hear that. Hold on. What are you doing?
We
You're
went
Okay,
live
live.
so
streaming
there's
on.
Go ahead,
No, no,
preface.
no. I'm not making fun. I'm not making fun. I'm asking honestly. You're live streaming on Caspa right now?
Correct.
Hold on.
yes on
Yes.
vvor.xyz. It is a Caspa.
Well,
It's
that's
ran on
cool.
the Caspa network.
I didn't
Yeah.
know that.
We're
I didn't know
yeah.
that.
You
I
own
didn't
that
know
much.
that.
You
And
We're
own
then
that much
streaming
Casper,
on
and you didn't
Vivor.
know that. What's going on, Moonlight? You got to keep up with what you hold, brother.
dude, trust me, dude. I don't need
You got to
to
get
You
bully
just
about
beneath the
you
you.
came
surface,
you came on
Moonlight.
the spaces and told us you hold more Casper than every single one of us up here. You don't know that Vivor is around. What's going on?
I don't study
So,
shitcoins, dude.
well,
Chill out,
maybe
chill
you
out,
should
chill out,
maybe you should
chill out,
study this
chill out.
one. No,
Hey, chill out, chill
no,
out,
you're the
chill
one
out.
who needs to chill out.
No,
You
Wait,
no,
wait,
came
no,
on
no,
this
no,
spaces
no. Hey,
late and
don't
trying to talk like you own more
don't
Casper than
hey,
everybody here.
hey, don't step up to me. You don't know me.
You don't
hey,
know
hold,
me, buddy.
Yeah,
You
sit
don't know
down,
me,
sit
buddy.
down,
Moonlight. It's a
sit
good
down.
idea to calm down,
You're
Sit
on
bro.
down
our
big boy.
spaces. So
Wad,
come with some respect and you'll get some respect.
I don't care about your respect.
Okay. Nope. That's it. Done.
Yeah, done.
I'm out.
Yeah,
Yep.
please.
wait,
See
wait,
ya.
hold on, guys. Hold on. We use this as an opportunity to explain. 'Cause-
Well,
No,
he's a
No.
know-it-all. He
Fuck 'em.
already knows everything.
Fuck 'em.
He already knows how things are going to play out. So
The ability to have
There's
conversations,
no
talk
liquidity,
and listen,
no liquidity
and
in the market.
start with
so
respect.
are you
So
open to having a conversation, or do you already
I'm
know everything?
open. I'm
You don't
open.
sound like it, brother. You don't
No,
sound like
there's
it.
no liquidity in the market,
Okay,
and
so
you
is
guys are
your
looking.
mind made up? Hold on. Is your
Do you
mind
know
made
what
up, or are you
liquidity is?
open?
Do you know what liquidity is?
No, I don't know what
he's an
liquidity
idiot shit.
is.
I know you
Moonlight,
don't.
don't be disrespectful.
Eh,
But we're brooding him. He's a dumbass.
Oh, I'm a dumbass.
Yeah,
Yeah. Okay.
exactly.
If you're open to discussion, just listen back to the spaces and you'll understand where we're coming from and then come back to talk. But this is not the right time for you to engage in conversation.
No, I mean, when you come on and act like a bully and act like you're better than everybody, like this isn't the spaces for you, bro. Like, I appreciate you, Onion, for coming on there and trying to be nice, but no, just
No, I appreciate the bulldog in you, bro.
No, good call, Juan. Good call.
Good call. Yeah,
The
honestly,
second
we're not gonna
yeah.
waste our
you
time,
try to
bro.
give him the
We've been
information,
on
he's
the shit
looking
for
for
almost
it.
4 hours. You know, like
Yeah.
it's 2 o'clock in the morning over here for me. So
That's
I'll get
true.
on
And
here as
can
long as
I
the
just
energy is
add,
good, but I'm not gonna have anybody come on. I got more Casper than
yeah,
everybody. Who gives a fuck?
yeah.
You know?
There you go.
And
Exactly.
I was
can
just
I
sitting here
just add
laughing the whole
that
time.
having some respect for one another is something good to have when you're having group discussions. Otherwise, it just leads to chaos. I don't think it's asking too much to have a little respect for one another in a conversation, especially when in a group chat. I mean, this is not a Bitcoin space where we yell at each other.
Yeah, he can
And
go.
no one
Exactly.
was yelling, but my point is, let's just have a little respect for one another. That's all.
No, and I think Juan, you handled that well. I think that you gave him the proper amount of respect that he needed, and I think we all did. Um, yeah, no, it's good. I think you do well, man. Well done.
Yeah. So we'll welcome anybody to come on and challenge us and talk to us, but you got to come with some respect. It's not that difficult.
Have a little humility.
Yeah, that's it. That's it. That's all.
What?
And to just come in there and just start throwing the money around like I have the most money, therefore my opinion must be the most important. I mean, it's a little pompous, right?
Oh yeah,
It's
definitely
not
childish.
it's not what we're about here. You know, we're here to learn and grow. And I could hear the pessimism of, oh, we don't have the liquidity. Well, you know what? We can have a conversation about the liquidity, but that's not what we were doing. We were talking about the Oracle issue, and we didn't get a chance to address it because it looked like the whole conversation was being diverted to a change of subject. If the liquidity is a thing we want to talk about, I'm welcome to do that. But I think it's important that we also go in the order topics were received. And Deku brought up the Oracle thing, and I think it was something for us to really consider and think about.
I agree.
So that's where I stand on this.
I also just want to mention that this is just a yet another example. Notice how all of us we were talking about the utility value of Kaspa, and then we started talking about oracles, and we're literally just talking about just multiple utility values of Kaspa. And when a Bitcoin maxi joins, the first thing they start talking about is tools to manage fiat liquidity, right? Like, of course, it's fiat jargon from the Bitcoin maxi. So I don't know. Like, why was he so interested in not talking about utility? Why is liquidity more important than sovereignty protocol? You know.
And Onion, if I may add, I love how you just said that because it was so fucking on point.
Thank you. Yeah. So
Using
Onion's got experience with dealing with those guys.
well,
I
no,
don't
no,
have the
I know he
patience.
does. I know he does, but what he's saying is he's saying that using tool as a fiat, or how did you
Right.
say it? Say it one more time.
wait, what did I say? I said I forgot what I said.
Using fiat as a tool to manage liquidity, and this is actually the reverse structure
Well,
is about using Kaspa as a tool. So he's all money mined, he's all paper mined, and we are definitely not that. So of course, like it makes complete sense. Also with his kind of personality, that we would get upset.
No, yeah, yeah. I mean, he lost me as soon as he said, "I have more Caspa than everybody in here." I
Bro,
don't,
you and me both.
I don't care if you do. Like, and obviously he came to the space really late, right? So I'm tired. I'm not gonna take anybody's bullshit, especially right
I don't
now.
blame you.
So
Well, and he lost the group when he attacked you. We were all ready to go,
yeah,
brother.
yeah.
Yeah.
So I
But no, I think the truth again, what happens here, specifically on this show, it's titled Beneath the Surface. What's on the surface for every coin out there is its price. We don't,
Ooh.
you guys, I'll say we because I'm a part of the committee,
yes,
but
you
it's your
are.
show. Um, but we don't talk price, and even me and you on all that we spent how many hours today sending voice notes back and forth, and price wasn't even part of the discussion. We're trying to figure out the beneath the surface. We're trying to figure out the utility, and I think something specifically within Casper that we know, as Casilla messaging goes, as VVOR goes, as all these things go, price goes along because it's the strength of the asset, which is deflationary, right? A gold bar sits there. You can't manipulate it to make it worth any more. It's just now supply and demand. But as cash was getting built and utilities getting built on it, the strength of what you hold grows. Therefore, number go up. But we're not worried about that last part. We're worried about that first part, and we're excited about it. And we're willing to talk to anyone who wants to know, why are you holding a shit coin? Well, actually, it's not a shit coin. It's actually the only other cryptocurrency that can compete with a Bitcoin. Nothing else can. It is true proof of work, and not only that, as I've told Juan a few times, like the exciting part about Caspa to me, it's proof of work as a crypto, but then proof of work on top of the proof of work. As that gets stronger, everything else does. We'll talk about this shit all day long. Like you said, 4 hours in. Which, by the way, this is it for me. I'm going to bed. I appreciate you guys. I love you guys so much. Um, I'll be around.
Love you too,
Love you
Bishop.
too,
Well
brother.
said,
Love you
brother.
too, man.
Thanks, Bishop.
Well done.
And yeah, we've been in this for 4 hours. How you doing over there,
Yeah,
Juan?
yeah. I'm winding down. You heard me bite like that. Usually
Yeah,
I could usually
I
handle
love
that,
that. Sorry.
but yeah, like
Let's go,
he's trying to
Bubba.
take over the space there, and I mean, the who was asking a
Yeah,
question, and we were trying to answer it, and you know that it's a little over our head, and then he's fucking talking about other shit. So yeah, yeah, I'm towards the end of my yeah.
Can
yeah.
can can
I
Okay,
can
love
I?
can I?
Oh,
You,
go
I
ahead.
love
Go
that
ahead, Karen.
I love that you stood up for yourself, Juan, and um, I appreciate your bulldog energy. I'm also wanting to wind this down soon because even though it's super late at night, I've been asked to go run an errand. So we'll do another 5 minutes so people can have any last minute words here, and then we'll start to wind it down tonight.
Can I?
Buffalo, go ahead.
Thank you. Okay, so with the Nakamoto consensus, I want you to think about like baking a cake. With the Nakamoto consensus, we have some ingredients, right? And with Caspa, it's kind of like the flour. It's kind of like what's going to raise it up. And you put it, you have all the ingredients, you put it in, right? And then when people start being attracted to it, then you turn the heat up, and that's good. But right now, we just are putting in the ingredients. We know that it's going to go in the oven, and we know that it's going to get turned up. We already know that. So when that happens, everyone is going to want to be like, "Hey, can I have some of your cake? Hey, I would love to have some banana bread or whatever the fuck. Oh, I want to have some of that." It's like, well, no shit, because we knew the ingredients that were in it. We knew where it's going to go. We have no doubt. And that's kind of the deal. At this point, if we were going to bake like a cake or a bread or whatever, we are building it now. And you got people like, I don't know if he was dropped on his head or like they just told him he was a good kid, or I don't know. I don't know how he is where he is, because he's not even a good speaker. It's
Let's
wild
not
how
make
much.
fun of them. Let's not
What
make
was that?
fun of them. Let's not make fun of someone who's not here,
Oh,
please.
I'm not making fun of him. I'm just stating facts. So, like, I'm just saying, uh, uh, I'm just saying that that everything is baked. Everything is the ingredients are in right now. We just got to put it in the oven and let it cook. And when that happens, everyone's going to absolutely flood to come and get that bread. With Cassia messaging, with the ability to save unencrypted files, with, like you were saying, Cara, which I really think that you should definitely break down and cut it out, because the rant that you went on, what is coming to Caspa, is so gold. Please post that. I will repost it. Everyone here should repost it. It was really well said, well done. Not everybody's going to understand what you're baking or the ingredients that you put into it, but when you turn that fire on, holy shit, everyone's going to come to the door because they're going to smell it, they're going to know it, they're going to be like, yeah, I want a slice of that. And that's how that's going to happen.
That's wonderful. Thank you for that, Buffalo. And yes, I will make a clip of that. And speaking of clips, I have not uploaded episode 7 yet to the YouTube archive, but I will be doing that the same time that I do episode 8. If anyone wants to listen to any previous episodes, please visit my bio and look at the links, and you'll see a link to my YouTube channel, and it has all of our blockchain banter beneath the surface episodes archived, with the exception of our last one and this one, and they're coming up soon. So I will be working on that, and that way it'll be easy to pause. It's kind of hard to do on X. It's kind of hard to listen back and pause and stuff like that. So that will be available. And also, if anyone has enjoyed this episode and would like to make a contribution or a donation or a gift of exchange, we do have a Kaspa wallet at beneaththesurface.cas, and any proceeds are split 50-50 between me and Juan. And sometimes we'll leave a little bit in the wallet just to make sure that we can pay for those Kaspa transaction fees so that we can be on Vivore for those live streaming, as well as uh, being able to reply to chats. So on Vivore, it does cost Kaspa every time I reply to someone in the chat room. Now, there's not, we don't usually have too many visitors in there yet, but there are a few. So if anyone wants to contribute to that, feel free. We love it. It's not required. We're going to do this regardless. But if you would like to be a part of that exchange, feel free to send us whatever you'd like. And I want to thank all of the speakers here and my wonderful co-host Juan, who's always such a delight. And I want to thank all of our listeners who are here live, as well as the listeners who are listening on recording and playing it back. You're a part of this. We appreciate you. I appreciate all the interesting topics and conversations and perspectives and experience. And we've covered a lot of topics today here, everything from time to numbers to deflationary value to the power of the dollar to what's coming with Kaspa and oracles. I mean, we just cover so much content, and yes, 4 hours of amazing new information. So thank you all. And then Juan, I'm going to leave this with you.
Thank you for calling me a delight. And sometimes I got to bring out the bite, I guess, right? So appreciate all of you for joining, listening live, all of you that are going to listen back. This was an awesome episode, beautiful conversation. Episode 8 in the books, my number 8, Glitchin' 888 here signing off. So I want to thank you guys for joining us here on Blockchain Banter Beneath the Surface, where Caspa carries the current of truth, vibrating at the frequency of seekers. So remember, one conversation at a time. Be humble, be kind, give it time. Love you all. Have a beautiful night.
Thank you. Good night, everyone.